Hello and welcome to episode 100 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Casey Gibson, and joining me for this very special evening, the one, the only, Mr. Perry Burkham.
It seems like just mere weeks ago I was bragging about getting to double digits, and now we are at triple digits.
Yes.
The big 100, baby.
Unbelievable. And to celebrate this special occasion, we have a very special honor to be joined by the doctor himself, Mr. Jonathan Metts. Or I should say Dr. Jonathan Metts. Derp.
There you go.
Well, hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here on episode 100.
Woo, yeah. We remember the good old days of Radio Free Nintendo with their huge celebration episodes. I remember listening to those. Those were great.
Those were always my favorite, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I got into RFN late, so I think we were into the 300s. Or maybe it was, something like that. And I remember 350, or 400. I was like, oh, baby.
Yeah. I remember, I started with I started with around the 300s. I don't know, somewhere around there. And then I worked, it was around, 320ths or something like that. And I was working my way, backwards. Taking episode 20 and then 19, then 18, 318, 3... And then I got to 300, and I'm like, I'm just going to start from the beginning. This is stupid. So I just started from the beginning, went back to 300. But yeah,
all I can say is bless your hearts. I don't know that I could make it through all those episodes. I mean,
yes,
even if I had all the time in the world to do it, I think some of them would be hard for me to listen to. But there certainly is a lot of funny stuff back then.
Oh my goodness,
and we were just
great. And then,
fumbling through it, trying to figure it out as we went along. And I think, like you said, at least in bits and pieces, I would really enjoy seeing that process play out.
I like Perry, I went back and listened too, and you know what? It's not sure, some of the news stuff that was talked about, obviously topical, but it's such an evergreen show with what you've been playing. It's half the time we talk about older games anyways. So
well, it's a time capsule on top of that too, and I mean that in the best way. It's like being there at the start of the Wii era. It was nothing like it is now, where you have a million outlets covering every aspect.
Yeah.
So hearing how people thought. Listening to Jonny talk about how people need to get used to dual analog because that's the future. It's I can't believe that that was an era. Looking back, that's a thing, and talking about starting with the Wii, which was such a funny thing to begin with. And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the prime podcasting. I think that's those early,
pioneers.
Yeah, pioneers, exactly, because he's one of the first ones. I mean, there's not a lot of podcasts with... How many... They're up to,
almost 600.
Almost 600.
Yeah.
600!
Insane.
They're still going strong.
Absolutely nuts. I just can't believe that, because I started doing the theme to that show on episode 400.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so weird to think that I've been there since... almost a third of that show. That's just nuts, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your seasons 4
Crazy.
and 5, I believe. I don't.
Yes.
It's really hard to keep up with the seasons because they're highly irregular. But it's basically when the theme song changes. So
just throw it.
Awesome.
We were supposed to have a theme change around 50, but I think Perry forgot.
Got
lazy.
Yeah, no, we were. Yeah, those are during. Let's just move on.
Perry,
life comes at you fast.
Did we hear a new intro song this episode or no?
Depends on your definition of new.
Remix?
I mean, you can't really listen to the same exact thing because it's a new podcast. So
yeah, just flip it around backwards.
Yeah, totally.
It'll sound
I will.
cool.
I will get to it. But back in the days of creating the theme to this podcast,
You had more free time?
The Wii U was out, and I wasn't doing reviews, and it's just
had time.
And I didn't really have. Yeah, now I'm doing so many things. Too much. But anyway, yes, we will get into talking more about our podcast, of course, a little naval gazing at the end of the show. But let's start off with some good old what you've been playing. And Casey,
yep, it wouldn't be
a celebration.
Exactly. It wouldn't be a celebratory episode if we didn't bust out a little mystery history.
Mystery history.
So yeah, so for those who don't know, and to give Johnny a little fresh update on what mystery history is, I've been playing a game that is on a previous console, which now includes Wii U. We have decided to include that as well. And
so anything besides 3DS or Switch.
Yep.
I was about to ask if it includes 3DS.
3DS still kicking.
It's a controversial opinion, I guess.
They just...
I think the date the cut date might be after Luigi's Mansion. Like after that comes out, it might be a
Really, you're waiting for a remake? That's the official blast major release? Yikes.
We came up with the rules. I think it was I can't remember actually. No, we did that for Wii U.
And I blew an opportunity to play Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze as a mystery history to just mess with Perry.
I know. It
on the
episode
so that it came out for the Switch.
We talked about
But yeah, so there, you guys will have 15 yes or no questions. After 5, 10, and 15, I will have little hints to sort of push you in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, you guys can alternate, or if you guys want to work together or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I think otherwise I'm ready. If you guys are ready to fire off some questions,
I'm ready.
All right, I'll go first. Is it on a portable system?
No, it is not.
All right.
Is it Luigi's Mansion?
No, it is not.
Oh man, that would have been so good. Okay, question number 3. Is it on... You trying to be tricky here. I wonder if it's on the Wii U.
Yeah, I know. I've been dropping could be cryptic hints all over, or it could just be breadcrumbs in the wrong direction.
Yeah. What's a good way to say this so I can narrow it down a little more? I guess. Is it on a cartridge?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Boom. So it is NES, Super NES, or N64. So you're up, Johnny.
Is it? Does the game primarily use sprite-based or polygonal graphics?
Sprite.
Okay.
Sprite. All right. That's a good one. All right, and then number 5, does it feature a well-known Nintendo character?
A well-known Nintendo character. There might be a cameo. So I suppose yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, did you say feature?
I said feature.
Okay, then I mean it does. It's a cameo, but it does not feature.
That's a lot of information you just gave. So
I'm trying to help you out here. I don't want you to look a fool on episode 100 here.
It's impossible with mystery history.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, 5 questions, and now we get our first hint.
All right, this is a licensed game developed by Nintendo EAD.
Licensed game developed by EAD. Johnny, you gotta know this. I expect you. A licensed game.
Yeah. Is it NES Golf?
No, it is not.
Okay.
I do like Johnny's attempts
that one's
here.
not licensed, but there is another one that is.
Most people just try and like chip away. Johnny's like, no, he's going for the jugular.
No. Is it Luigi's Mansion?
He already asked that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You are the winner.
Number 2, he would. Yeah. Okay.
But it's actually Dark. Oh well, I guess Dark Moon is 3DS. Right?
Okay. Features. Okay. Man, it's a licensed game.
Changing the rules.
A licensed game. Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, and normally with the hints, they get a little easier as they go. So that's why this one I feel like would throw a nice loop for you.
Is it a sports game?
No, it is not.
Oh.
Okay. I was thinking maybe Punch Out. Like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought surely it's a sports game. Okay, well, that really narrows it down. If it's Nintendo EAD and it's licensed. Does it involve spinach?
No, it does not.
That's a good one.
He's still going for the jugular. He was just rewording it that time.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it a platformer?
No, it is not.
Okay. Do you know what question we're on?
This will be the 10th question.
Okay.
I really should make it count, huh?
Yeah.
A licensed Nintendo EAD game.
It's not sports, and it's not a platformer.
I guess it could be... Is it a racing game?
It is not a racing game.
What?
Okay,
right, give us that number 2 hint.
Hint here. 2 different characters are found in the Legend of Zelda Game Boy games that are a parody of the character introduced in this series. Was that clear? I was like trying to word that properly without...
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Yeah. 2 different characters are found in the Legend of Zelda Game Boy games that are a parody of the character introduced in this series.
What? Wow. That's a good one, Case.
That's strange because when I think of like parody characters in Link's Awakening, I think of the parody of Mario.
Yeah, like Ching Chomp and
well, but also there's the what's his name, Marin or one of the guys that like at the ranch. I think he's a parody of Mario.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't.
But then also they have all those Mario characters in there too. Mm-hmm. Man, it's a parody of this character.
And this is a character.
I guess
character introduced in this series.
Okay, I guess we don't even know if it's an NES or an SNES game. But man, I don't know. Is it an NES game?
No.
All right, so it's on the Super Nintendo.
So it's a licensed Super Nintendo game.
Licensed.
And I'll even give you an extra little nugget on that last question. This is an original character, an original Nintendo character
in a licensed game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
man, you got me stumped.
So and it couldn't be Wave Race because that's a racing game.
Yeah, Yep.
It couldn't be, Kobe Bryant or NBA Courtside or Ken Griffey or I mean they just did not make that many licensed games.
It's not racing. It's not.
All right. I have a question. Is the license mentioned in the title of the game?
Is the license so like? I'm trying to. Do you have an example?
Is the brand that's being licensed for this game? Is it part of the title? Like if it was an NBA game, it would say NBA something something, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So it's not like the reason I bring it up is because it's not like how Super Monkey Ball had the Dole license because all the bananas in the game had the Dole. It's not like Dole presents Super.
Right.
Yeah, it's like very much when you hear this name, you will know. Yeah.
It was made for a company basically, or it was made highlighting a company. Wow.
I'm trying to think of like the license itself. Like I don't want to like. I guess I give another little hint here. It's a series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it like the license So it's not like a so and so presents, but it is just like.
I got you. Yeah. So it has to be based on a manga, anime, movie, comic book, TV show, something like that.
I'm trying to.
No, not exactly. Maybe I'm screwing up.
Quit giving hints.
Just all right. Ask some more questions, Perry.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm thinking, if it's not a platform or racing or sports, like a fighting game, maybe. I don't know.
Super Nintendo.
What RPG? Like what? EAD RPGs.
No.
And then, like.
Also, I'm just trying to think of EAD Super Nintendo titles. I mean, they didn't make that many.
Right.
I'm trying not to look it up.
Yeah.
No cheating.
Man, that's a tough one. Is it a fighting game?
No, it is not. That is
Okay,
question 13. So you got 2 left.
I wonder if it's a puzzle game. Like a
That
Tetris
that
game.
could work, yeah. But there aren't characters in Tetris Attack that show up in.
Wait. Is that it, though? Didn't Yoshi...
Yoshi wouldn't be licensed because that's their.
Right. But then I'm trying to tie it into the Zelda parody.
Yeah, and
the Game Boy.
I don't know the Game Boy
This is
games
great.
well enough for that to work.
Wow.
I'm assuming it's someone who was in Link's Awakening and also the Seasons games, probably, or
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
and-
It was in one of the, I forget if it's Ages or Seasons, and then in Link's Awakening.
sure.
Wow, Case, you've picked a very good game.
And they're 2 different characters. Like, there's one in each of those games based on this character, or like parodied off it. So, But you got 2 more questions.
I can't believe it. I can't think of anything.
Super Nintendo licensed EAD game. That's wild. I wonder if I even know this game.
You guys have told, like,
We've heard.
It's
Okay, so
yeah.
it's something that it's just eluding us. Then.
it's not some like super obscure game.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah. I mean, like, we could ask if it's in Smash, if it's on the SNES Classic. It's probably not.
I don't know.
Is
You
it
got
not-
2 questions.
Could
Is it on the Super Nintendo Classic Mini?
No, it is not.
All right, so I got the last question here.
Last question, then you get a hint.
And then we get a hint, and then we can guess.
Then you got 1 guess each, or 1 guess. I don't know if it's collective. I guess.
Okay.
It's Perry's question, right?
Yeah.
So you already know it's going to be useless.
Okay. Is it gonna? Okay. Is the main character introduced in this? Is it? Have they been featured in Smash as like a assist trophy or as a playable character?
Yes, they have. And that's number 15. So here's the question here, or the last hint here, I should say. In this port, when disaster strikes, instead of Godzilla wreaking havoc, Bowser does.
Yeah. Okay. The crazy thing is, I figured out right as you were starting that hint, and then now I get it. Okay. Can I guess?
Yes.
Yes, please.
It's SimCity.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
You guessed like every genre under the sun except for Sim.
Right.
Well,
Because
yeah.
who even remembers that Super
The
Nintendo
bounding
had
sim.
simulation games? So weird.
yeah.
I sure
That is
do.
crazy.
They were really hot at the time.
I've never played this game before. I've never played SimCity before.
Dude, this game is incredible. I love
great.
the Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And it's developed by EAD, SimCity?
Yep, under the license from Maxis. And it was published by Nintendo as well. We usually run over some stats here. Released in 1991, April 26th in Japan, and August of 91 in North America. They're pretty similar to the PC version, except there are some more buildings and scenarios in the SNES version, as well as it looked like all of the online on the PC was didn't have a lot of color, or it was just black and white. So this game has some more color to it. The new feature is Dr. Wright, who is the character, obviously, and
So
he is
Nintendo
actually
created Dr. Wright.
yeah, and he is
I did not know
actually a parody of Will Wright, who is the creator of the series.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And in the Zelda games, there is a Mr. Wright, but it's spelt like Write, and then in the other one, there's a Dr. Left or a Mr. Left to sort of joke on, oh, he's right, left kind of thing. So some special little things added in where, like I said, instead of Godzilla attacking the town, it's Bowser. And if you get to a certain amount of points, you can unlock a Mario statue. What's cool is actually that the game was re-released for the Super Famicom satellite modem under the name BS SimCity City Building Game. And it was actually re-released for the Wii Virtual Console in November of 2006. However, in 2013 it was pulled because I guess at that point the license switched hands, and then Nintendo didn't have the rights, I guess, to keep it on the Wii Shop. But yeah, this game,
that is nuts.
This game's super fun. It's like you get in there. It's, I guess, you know, if you've played a SimCity recently, it's very primitive compared to that. But you've got like your commercial, your industry, your residential buildings, and then you obviously got to make police stations and then keep the power and the roads. And as you sort of build up your city, more things sort of come into the fray. Like, oh, there's high crime over here, so it's like we need to build more police stations, you know. And then there's even, you get to the point where like you could build like a casino, but that's going to sort of rise up and make more crime around that area. Or like you could build a football stadium, which is going to be more traffic. So it is, you know, for a Super Nintendo game, it's, you know, it's got some deep systems within it, and you know, it's one of those games that I've had forever, and it's just like I played so much of it when I was younger. It's actually funny, we must have sold it or lost it along the way, and I was like, I really wanted to play it, so we went to Funko Land. I don't know if you guys remember that, but
well, we didn't have them where I grew
Funko.
up, but yeah, they're
basically
an early version of GameStop.
Yep, yeah. And I went in there, and I was like, I don't even think my sister was born yet, so I was probably like 6 years old. You know, I was like, I just want SimCity, and the guy's like, well, Sim Earth is pretty similar. It's like, and I was like, is it? And he's like, yeah, it's like the same game. And I got home, oh my god, not even close.
Sim Earth really truly sucks. I rented it at least once back in the Super Nintendo days, and I thought it sounded so cool. It is not.
It does
that
sound
game
cool.
is not cool. Sim Ant is considerably better than Sim Earth, but I don't like it as much as SimCity. It's still the best Sims game, I think.
Like SimCity, you could, you know, like you could go back and play that game today, and I think you will have fun with it, even if like you know didn't play it back in the day. And on top of that, it has an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah,
so good, so good.
It actually, it's funny that we, you know, even at the very end, we were asking about the Super Nintendo Classic Mini, because SimCity would have been a great inclusion there. It's so widely known, it's so easily accessible, and it does give you a very different experience than anything else that's in that collection.
Totally.
Yeah, that would have been a great fit.
Yeah, what a fantastic choice.
Yeah, really.
Because, like, Casey, you got the mystery. You nailed that. And then you nailed the history, because I didn't really, like, I've seen Dr. or Miss Dr. Wright. Dr. Wright?
Yeah, Dr. Wright.
In Smash, I never knew who that was, actually.
Yeah,
and so
well, I guess in the PC version, they didn't really have, I guess, any advisor, so it was just sort of, I guess maybe you just sort of figured it out on your own. So Nintendo, obviously, it wasn't going to let that happen, so this was their sort of answer, like, hey, Dr. Wright, he'll come and advise you on sort of things happening, like, you know, as events happen, like, you're like, oh, look, this is what happened, this is sort of how you could remedy it, you know, so so it makes sense, and yeah, and that's why, obviously, with Smash, like, he is a Nintendo character, you know, so...
Well, and it's so funny, because, you know, Johnny just sent me this thing for SimCity 64.
Yeah, it came to mind as we were talking about the Super Nintendo game.
Which was developed by HAL, and was going to be on the 64DD. But
no, it is on the 64DD.
Right? Oh, it is. Okay.
It came out. Yeah.
Okay. I bet Danny Bivens has it. I think he told me he actually.
If not, he better get it.
Danny, you better get it.
I want to say it is one of the most obscure games on the 64DD. Like, they did not make many copies, and it's kind of hard to find, I want to say.
Right. It's so cool, but it's, I mean...
Yeah, and it features
crazy,
Dr. Wright.
right?
It is the sequel to SimCity.
That is so cool.
Well,
I need to play SimCity.
Casey, was it one of your hints where we found out that this is a licensed game?
What's up?
Yes.
Sorry, what's up?
It was your first hint, right, that it's a licensed game?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really dastardly, because that's probably like did more harm than good for us figuring out what you're talking about. Because SimCity is just not a game that you think of as being licensed, you know?
Right.
So many of us discovered SimCity through the Super Nintendo version that it just feels like a Nintendo game. And even though it existed before, Yeah, that's wild. It was a great
Featherton.
pick. Great pick.
For once,
Yeah,
I did
totally.
well. Normally I get
I know.
roasted on these mystery histories.
Oh, you
so.
should have been here on the one episode we lost. Like we lost audio. That's I know Johnny's.
That was my other
experienced
most
that.
I am
beautiful
familiar.
mystery history.
But he did WarioWare, and it it was a catastrophe. Oh, it was just bad. Because he was making up the hints on the fly.
That was like, I'll do a mystery history, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't think of hint questions.
I forgot, yeah. And so, but he tried to play it off that like he was prepared. Anyway, the funny thing is that I lost my audio for that, so he got off the hook.
Yeah, dodged the bullet.
I'm glad you can laugh about it now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, we lost our first episode ever. We recorded the whole thing, and Perry lost.
Johnny, we did our first episode, right? And about 10 minutes before we're done, I see a thunderstorm coming, and one flash of lightning, power went out for 1 second, and I lost everything.
Yeah, and that was before we were segmented saves, so it was like, But I still think, I see that as a blessing in disguise, because it was like the perfect dry run, like to get through it and just be like, okay, we could do this, you know?
And you learned all the lessons about how to not lose audio before the show got on a regular schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you will eventually learn those lessons one way or another. So you got it all out at the beginning. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd say it worked out.
Exactly. It did. It worked out. But, well, thanks, Casey. That was fun. SimCity, Super Nintendo.
Casey, when you play SimCity, do you do the thing that Nintendo Power used to recommend of making like donut shapes of the zones? And then you get like a park. You can put a park in the middle, and then when you win the monuments, like the statue of Mario and stuff like that, you can put them in the middle, and then all the ones around it get a bonus.
Yeah, no, I've always done the donut. I think that was one like my brother. Like I'm sure, because like I said, I was pretty young at the time, so it's like whether it was my brother or my neighbor whoever had Nintendo Power, it's like, yeah, the donut, and I was like, I never really knew why. I remember back in the day, I was like, this is just the way you do it, you know.
And do you build streets or railroads?
Usually I do streets, even though I know it's just, it's like, I know
you have
that
pollution, right?
I know and all the traffic, that look like little ants on the road, but I don't know. There's just something about like those tracks. You need a road. What a trains. And then you wish you had enough money where you could set, because like you can lay down road or train, and train's smarter because like you said, it's like less pollution, there's less traffic and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I hate how the tracks look if you put two next to each other.
Yeah.
They just like box up instead of just like two nice rails. Ugh.
I always found that I never understood, like if you just put two tracks next to each other, basically if you just double wide the railroad track, does that add more traffic capacity? Or like, do they work like streets do? Or are there kind of different rules for like what gets, like what improves the flow of traffic when you're using rail? The game doesn't really tell you anything about it. It just says less pollution.
Pollution is bad, we know that. Yeah, I bet you there's probably some crazy SimCity resource guide that has like everything. Because I can imagine, like I remember, eventually when you get like the whole map, when you've really been playing the city and like the whole map's covered, it's like I'm sure there are people that optimize and get like insane amount of people and stuff in that city, and then you get like a mayor rating and all this jazz. So it's like you're trying to keep everyone happy and keep. And it really does, once you start getting bigger, it gets pretty tough. Mm-hmm. Especially if you don't... I think there was a way to cheat, or I might have just started on like the give me the 20k easy mode. They give you the most amount of money. But if you play the game proper, it is pretty difficult to get like a nice successful city going where you're making money and keeping your rating up and not getting people pissed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've always wanted to try. I feel like it's like simple enough, like that the gameplay would be like streamlined and kind of cool, like especially just kind of within the limitations of what it is.
Like with some of the later SimCities, it's like you got to worry about plumbing and they really go down like the rabbit hole of making sure like you are literally micromanaging so many things, where this has enough depth, but it's not like so over bearing that it's like
Right.
you don't know what to do.
Right, exactly. So that's cool. But we got to move on because Johnny has played amazingly. This is a game that is so up to Talk Nintendo Podcast Alley, but was released during a crazy time where we didn't have a chance to cover it. And that is, well, actually, Johnny, why don't you introduce it?
Yeah, it's Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. So this is the Inti Creates developed prequel. I think it's a prequel to Bloodstained, the Kickstarter Igarashi game that is still not out yet. And so this is a little bit like Mighty Gunvolt that they did for Azure Striker Gunvolt 2.
Absolutely.
So it's something Inti Creates does where they will sometimes make a companion sort of like retro 8-bit game to go along with a higher budget, bigger release. And Inti Creates, I have to say, is probably one of my top 3 developers right now. They just consistently are putting out really high quality, really smart, really well designed retro style games, and they're doing
Blaster Master Zero, man.
It's great. Oh, they need to make Blaster Master
so
Zero
good.
too, because
I know
it's so good, but it's largely a remake of the original game, which I know that game so well that it ends up making Zero kind of easy and predictable. So I really want them to just make new maps and do new levels and new power-ups and stuff with that engine.
Yes. Which that's been, it's funny because that's been a game, Blaster Master, that series has been covered, I just think about RFN episodes a lot, of talking, when that was back on the Virtual Console. I remember I got that too. But anyway, yes, exactly. They just need to make another one of those. But, they're actually doing a lot of cool stuff, like you're saying, and including this game that looks so cool.
Yeah, and they also made Mega Man 9 and 10. So they've just, Inti Creates, they do amazing stuff. I didn't even know they were making a Castlevania ripoff until this game pretty much dropped out of the sky for me, because I just wasn't paying attention to the Kickstarter. And I've played a little bit of the real Bloodstained at E3, and so far, just based on compared to those early versions, I'm sure they've improved. But I can tell you that Curse of the Moon on Switch is more fun than what I've played of the real Bloodstained. I think it's really fantastic. So it is basically a new Castlevania game. There are some key differences, but they're mostly just to modernize it, to make it a little bit easier or more forgiving. Not easier, I wouldn't say, but more forgiving of mistakes. So you're probably not going to run out of lives playing through Curse of the Moon. I think I had 12 lives when I got to the final boss, and there is a 1-up that spawns right in front of the final boss. So if you get to that point in the game, you cannot run out of lives or continues. They want you to beat
through
it.
your bone.
Yeah, and now the final boss is really hard, and it took me a lot of tries, maybe a couple dozen tries to learn how to defeat that boss. But they give you as many tries as you want. It sort of furthers the point that, hey, maybe games don't need limited lives. Maybe that doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the modern era with how how games are structured nowadays.
Archaic game design,
Right. Even Dark Souls has unlimited lives.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I think that is one of the funniest lives systems ever, because it's so useless and you always have a billion.
Yeah, and if you need more, you just buy them at the store with coins that are otherwise useless.
And then, I have 999 banana coins and 99 lives at all times, So that's just kind of
it's absurd. It kind of works as a joke in that game, but in most cases,
but back in the good old days, like Mario Bros. Or Super Mario, and it was
even Donkey Kong Country,
so
the original ones. When I was younger, I'd get game overs.
Yeah, I see, but now we're living in the days where we want to finish games. And we don't we don't buy one NES game for $80 anymore. It's we buy we literally buy 30 NES games for $60.
Yeah. Games can't really afford to be that nasty to you anymore because it's so easy to just move on to another one. Games have gotten so cheap. There's so many choices,
insane.
and they're so cheap. It's crazy to me. I spend almost no money on video games anymore. I buy them digitally. I mostly buy them on sale. My average price that I spend on a video game is probably $5-10. And that's for like AAA, anything I want. Nintendo's games are the only ones that I actually spend any real money on because I usually want them when they come out, and I know that I'm not going to get a deal on them, so I just buy it at full price. But
because they have very smart business practices that gives them value.
Well, yeah. It's
for the most part.
Their games don't. I would say their games don't retain value because they don't drop the price on them. They retain value because they have value to begin with, because of how they're made and how they're designed, and because people want them, and so that allows them to keep the prices high. So that's not something they just force by keeping prices high. It's built into the DNA of the kind of products that they make. But I digress. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It is really fun. It is quite accessible. Even I'm not even the hugest fan of OG Castlevania. I think they're kind of too hard to be fun in a lot of cases. They're just kind of punitive. The way Ninja Gaiden can be. I think those games are just like There's a lot of trial and error, and then the penalty for error is go back and play half the game over again. And I don't have the patience for that. And Bloodstained Curse of the Moon just is like, we know if you're old enough to remember the game this is based on, then you're too old for that shit. Excuse me. You're too old to put up with that. And so it's really nice. And I think the graphics, the pixel art is really beautiful. The music is a lot of fun. Really great, kind of like spooky gothic upbeat chiptune stuff, like very much in the style of Castlevania. But again, Konami's not making Castlevania anymore. They probably, I don't know if they ever will, but if they do, it probably won't look a lot like this. It's nice. You have the 4 different characters, and you can switch among them even in the middle of a jump, which is crazy because they all have different physics, different move sets, different sub weapons. There's really a lot of, it's not like a super long game, but there's so much depth in the different ways you can play it and mix it up. There's all these secret pathways that might be blocked off to you if one of the characters is dead, and so that can lead to some decisions about, well, do I want to try to burn a life here and regenerate all the characters so I can take that path, or should I just stick to the other way? But then you may run into a boss or a sub boss that you're going to have a really hard time with because you're only stuck with the old man wizard guy and you don't have enough sub weapon points to use any of his powers. That can happen. That sounds probably a lot more frustrating than it really is in practice, because every time you lose a life, all your characters are revived, which means that if you think about it, every life is kind of 4 lives. So you have tons of chances. That's one of the reasons that you really don't run out of lives, because you'll probably find a 1-up before you actually kill off all 4 of the characters, unless you're at a boss.
And you could switch, if they get, because I played a little bit of this. I bought it when it came out, and then I did barely touch it. I played it for like 5 minutes. Then I actually played a little bit last week, and it's interesting. You could get down to like 1 hit away from death with one of your characters, and then just switch out, and now your other character's at full life. So it's like sort Marvel of an interesting concept. I sort of liked it.
Yeah, they all have their own health bars and their own sub weapons. And although obviously this kind of makes it easier or more playable because you have so many options and you have so many extra health bars that if you're fast enough, you can flip over to a different one right before you die, like you said. But it makes managing the resources in the game pretty interesting, because the lamps that drop sub weapon power ups will drop a different one depending on which character that you're using, and so each character will kind of cycle through 2 or 3 or 4 different sub weapons at each time you get a power up. So sometimes you have to choose whether do I want to get do I want to use the Alucard stand-in, whatever his name is, and just get more hearts, basically, so I can use more stuff, or do I want to flip over to the Belmont kind of guy so that I can actually give him a sub weapon that's worth using and not just a stupid dagger, or do I want to try to upgrade this other character to get a more powerful spell that might be useful on this really difficult platforming section coming up. So you and typically you get enough tries going through these areas that you might actually, you might know what's coming up ahead a little bit and think about this stuff. And then again, once your characters die off, it kind of forces you to try all 4 of them and sort of learn what they're good at. And by the end of the game, I was switching them up all the time, using them for all kinds of different things. They were even just like certain enemies, I knew which character was the best at, so I would flip over to that one, kill it, and then flip to a different one for some jumping stuff coming up, and then, it's great.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to pick up this game and play. I need to do that.
Like you said, Inti Creates is really doing wonderful work with these like retro games. I mean, for me, I've never been a huge Castlevania fan, mostly because I really don't like Metroidvanias all that much. So like to me, like the classic Castlevania is more up my alley. Like
right.
Super Castlevania 4 is incredible, So it's like, and I know that's a little more along the way from like the really like the older ones, were really, tough and sort of, ancient a little bit, but yeah, this one felt good. I definitely need to get back into it because, like you said, I don't think it's a super long game, so it's like I do want to see it through. And like you said, Inti Creates with Blaster Master, it was just so like I feel like I owe it to them to like play the game through because I know it's going to be like a joy the entire time, So
you really owe it to yourself. Don't worry about them; they've already got your money.
Yeah, they're happy.
That's right.
Yeah,
but
you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's quite nice, and a game I've not heard a lot of people talking about it. I don't know how well it did. It's a licensed game for something that's not actually out yet.
So
I know.
It
just puts it in a weird place,
weird.
But it's really great. Yeah, I would highly recommend it.
It always makes me wish Nintendo would just go back and give us a nice 2D sprite-based Mario game. Like I don't know. It's like it wouldn't have to be so full scale, like, world changing, like, the Odyssey of 2D Mario. Just give us like a classic, like 2D Mario in that vein, like brand new levels, but like beautiful pixel art. Like I feel like that would sell like hotcakes.
Super Wario Bros. Just give us Super Wario Bros.
That'd be great.
It would be so good.
But they did make those new levels in Mario Maker.
That's true.
And I guess there's different ones in the 3DS version too. So it's not like Nintendo hasn't been going back to that well and just making new stuff.
That's true. Mario Maker totally is like an ode to that, but it's not the same. Not the exact same. But as far as Inti Creates, I met with them at PAX, and I bought a sweet Blaster Master Zero t-shirt that came with a cool sticker. But I also played their game Dragon Marked for Death that's coming out.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed it. It's a very simplistic beat 'em up type game where you go around and you can play as different characters, and I'm actually pretty stoked for it because, well, first of all, it looks great, beautiful pixel, big characters, right? Big like screen wide characters. Well, not that big, but I just mean way bigger than like Mighty Gun Volt or
like a
Bloodstained.
big Neo Geo character.
Yeah, Neo Geo characters.
Oh, cool.
And it also features online cooperative play, which I am super stoked for. Because then, like, me and Casey can play through, so.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
Good. For beat 'em ups especially, that's a really good feature. Because they're often not as much fun by yourself. It can be kind of boring, exactly. I think. But yeah, 2-player beat 'em ups can be a really good time.
Yeah.
I'll check out whatever they put out.
Yeah, they exactly. They have my respect. So
they got your wallet.
But speaking of having my respect and having my wallet, I've been playing WarioWare Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wario de Mambo! Wario de Mambo! Wario de Mambo!
Now, I'm not saying that there's some divine hand pushing its way through and guiding our podcast, but the fact that WarioWare is like my favorite game ever, and it's on our 100th episode... I mean, it's just perfect, for the WarioWare Gold. Our golden episode.
Brought to you by Wario himself.
When is Gold? Is Gold... Is gold 50? I think gold. Yeah, gold.
Didn't we do that over the
So
diamond,
gold.
which is 75, right?
Diamond is 75. What is a
The
100th?
diamond episode.
You should look that up. You should look up what the 100th is. What the 100th anniversary. Whatever.
Has
it is.
anyone ever
Anyway.
been married for 100 years?
Me and
I
Jill are
hope
going
not. I
for
think
it.
the oldest person was like 114. So, yeah.
They got married young.
Could- Yeah, people get married when they're 5. It's okay. But yeah, WarioWare Gold. A new WarioWare game came out. It sounds like the best thing ever. I mean, right? Except for it's on the 3DS, and I don't play my 3DS. I had to charge my, I had to charge my 3DS just to download it.
I
Because you have to
I
have
looked
it
it
up
up
to
by
a
the way,
certain-
just real quick. It's
Yeah.
traditionally called the Sentinel or the Platinum Jubilee.
Ooh.
Platinum. Yeah, there you go. It's our platinum.
The Platinum
episode.
Jubilee
There you go.
episode.
The Platinum Jubilee. I think we have our episode title.
That's funny.
Yeah, so like I was saying, 3DS WarioWare Gold. I'm actually reviewing it for the site as a second review, and it's awesome. So rest assured, this game is freaking sweet. What's your history with WarioWare, guys?
I really like it. I've gotten definitely the ones on the DS and the Game Boy, right? The Game Boy was the first one it came, Game Boy Advance,
Yes.
right? I did not get the one for Wii. There was some sort of war. I'm so blanking on which are actually... But I really
Well,
like
obviously
it.
it's not a big part of your life then if you don't even
Yeah,
know.
no,
So
I
let's
like
just
it, but
move
yeah,
on.
I'm not like a diehard. Like I'm tempted to get Gold, but I'm not busting out my 3DS to play that game right now.
I know. What about you, Johnny?
I was introduced to WarioWare through the GameCube version, which nobody ever talks about. But it was
Hello.
it was a
I do all the time.
yeah. Well, it was like a port of the Game Boy Advance game, but with multiplayer added. And so
Yeah, I didn't even know that growing up. I didn't even know there was a Game Boy Advance game. I just knew the GameCube
And it's
one.
got a beautiful cover. I
funny.
love that blue.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Yes.
I liked it. I think it was my buddy's game. I don't think it was my copy. I think I was just playing his copy of it. But we were playing together, and we got pretty good at it. My favorite is by far Twisted on the GBA, the sequel.
Yes. Yes.
And so I'm curious about how well those games work on the 3DS, and do
Yes.
you miss the force feedback? Because that was a very nice novelty. It was subtle. Like it felt like a really well thought out integral part of the experience back on GBA. That little rumble motor that was built in the cartridge.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. I do miss it, but what it makes up for is with more consistent gyro control.
yeah,
I mean,
fair.
it's fantastic on through. I mean, it's like, I think both with Twisted and with Twisted and
Shake
Smooth Moves. Smooth, yeah, Shake It's the,
Wii, yeah.
yeah, that sounds like a WarioWare game too. That's Wario Land. With Smooth Moves and Twisted, they're awesome, but I think they suffer a little bit from pun intended shaky controls that don't really, that they don't work 100% of the time.
Right.
They're still great. I mean, right? But I mean, part of it's like, you're trying to flip this frying pan with this fried egg and it won't happen. And it's like, okay, like I'm even doing what it says, but it's just not working. But I haven't had any trouble at all. It's all been like perfect. I mean, and you can see it measured. There's some really fun, like there's a mode. So there's these challenges modes in WarioWare, which I think is a lot of fun. It sucks that this game is so late in the 3DS. Man, should have been
Way earlier,
year
like
one.
2016.
Should have been year one. But there's this really cool mode where you tilt it. Okay, you play through these games, and then you have like a certain amount of time, and you can tilt it up to make it go. I might be reversing these, but you tilt it up to make the whole game go slower, to make it easier to play the game, or you can tilt it down to make the game just go completely as fast, like super crazy fast, but then you'll get more time. And so, but if you lose, then you lose,
Higher
So,
stakes.
yeah, it's amazing. It's so cool. Yeah, like that concept. There's a lot of really neat little ideas with the challenges. that they do like that, where they add little spins on the main gameplay. But the main campaign is divided into different segments, just like they always are, right? There's always the different characters that have their own games. And those segments are even divided into 3 columns or 3 rows, and that's with mash. Mash is the physical, D-pad and A and B buttons input. Then they have twist, I think they call it. I can't remember the exact twist, and then that is the motion controlled ones, and then they have touch ones. And then they even afterwards, they even do mic ones where you blow into the mic. We all love those.
Oh God!
I'm surprised they didn't put in some of the DSi version with the camera stuff on 3DS, because
oh yeah, snap, that would have been great.
Nobody really likes that game, but maybe they could do it better on 3DS. I don't know.
I thought the concept was awesome. It was hard to play, but if you had a white shirt on with a black background, you could play it. It was good.
That's all. Just set up a photography studio in your home and you can play it.
Right. So, what scared me though, this is something that is kind of a concern. When I started playing the game, all these games are remastered, right? I thought they would be just put in the original games. But no, everything is remastered to really look as shiny and nice and cartoony on the 3DS. So these, and going back, if you guys have played, WarioWare, it's every single micro game is looks like it's been made by a different game studio.
Yeah.
Just total bizarro, and it's there'll be realistic clay animated stuff, and then there'll be crazy Japanese centered art, and then Western, and all different things. That's the beauty of WarioWare, is right there. When I started playing this, it was they took all those games and they made them into one style.
Huh.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. This is shiny and clean WarioWare. It's it's not that
needs a little more
obtuse
raunch
and
to
quirky
it.
and weird. Yes, exactly. But as I kept playing, it slowly kind of unraveled and became just as zonky and wonky and crazy as any WarioWare you've ever seen, if not more. I mean, for Pete's sake, one of the bosses is you have to guide people that are in a movie theater. They all have to go to the bathroom, and people who are holding on to their butts, you guide them to the toilets, and people who are clenching their legs, you got to guide them to the urinals. That's one of the bosses. It's what in the world is
Only
this?
Nintendo.
Oh yeah, and then it's just, and there are at least I would at least a dozen times laugh out loud at these hilarious games that are just so wonky, and just the little, when you complete a little micro game and then something else happens, within that last second.
Yeah.
There's just this one where I can't exactly remember what you do, but then just this chubby tanuki raccoon just comes up and smiles, and it's so funny. It's hard to explain, but it's just so funny. And it's so weird and strange and it's just what I've always loved, obviously, just about Wario in general. And I love how they created this IP, which I didn't realize. Do you know the origins of WarioWare, Johnny?
Not too much. I mean, I think Mr. Sakamoto from the Metroid franchise was one of the original creators, but beyond that, no, not really.
Well, it's really interesting. It's something I did a feature video with Neil Ronahan, and he went into depth about it, and it's actually totally the first real WarioWare game was in that Mario 64 DD game. I forgot what it's called, but it's the Mario Artist.
Okay, yeah.
And they had these little sneaky little micro games in there that are literally, like, all of them are included in the first WarioWare game. Like, you played it exactly like it. Like, the one where the top's spinning and you gotta stop it, right, on the... Like, all these ones that you've known, or, like, jumping, like, dodging over a skateboard type thing. All of them are in there. I was like, whoa, like, I didn't realize that there really was, like, a total game structure before WarioWare. But then so it's really cool. You should look that up. It's pretty crazy that
awesome.
spawned.
Yeah, and we've got 2 different references to 64DD in the first segment.
I know.
This is what happens when I show up, I guess.
That's right. Heck yeah, you and Danny Bivens. And so now with WarioWare, it's so fun that they attached the guy Wario to the IP, because I just think he's so weird and crazy. And now it's totally his thing now, and I just love him. He's my favorite character. And it's because of this. Now, the other weird thing that it kind of caught me off guard, but kind of grew to like it, is all the characters are looking a little different. Like, they're all like more chibi-fied. They're all a little less detailed, a little smaller, but still in the same quirky WarioWare style. But on top of that, everyone is fully voice acted in, like, long scenes. like this is the most I've ever heard Charles Martinet talk ever, and it's with Wario, and it's fabulous. But it's so weird,
is it almost
and it
too much?
The bizarre level. No, I don't think so. I think it's actually the script and the acting. And the screenplays are great. I think that they're funny. I laughed at them. I thought they were bizarre and weird, and it wasn't cringy. Like, I mean, I could see people thinking they're a little cringy, but mostly they're pretty funny, and it kind of made me realize that, maybe they're ushering, like, the WarioWare into, like, a new, like, maybe this is the direction they want to go, like, maybe making it more cartoon TV show friendly for, like, kids than, like, bizarre. I don't know, but I mean, it's so bizarre anyway. I mean, I don't exactly know, but anyway, it was kind of like a new version of WarioWare that's kind of really clean, like, and shiny, and I think that's probably why they called it WarioWare Gold. Clean and shiny. But anyway, like, basically, I'm a diehard. I'm as hardcore as they get for a WarioWare fan, and I absolutely love this game. But I also think it's a really good first WarioWare game too. But all of them are. I mean, they're all as casual as it gets, right? I mean, the concept of the micro games and playing. But if you haven't played, or if you have played a ton of WarioWare, it's a must play. It stinks that it's not on Switch. Like, it really, really stinks. Like, trust me, that sucks. But it really couldn't exist on the Switch because of the way it's played with the touchscreen.
Yeah, they'd have to sort of ground up, make a bunch of new minigames or micro games.
They need to make
I mean,
they need to just make a new WarioWare for Switch. I mean, it could be kind of a follow-up to Smooth Moves.
Yes.
With the Joy-Cons, you've got motion controls. You could do a lot of fun stuff with that.
I think they could do a sequel to Twisted, even. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
please.
just totally do. I mean, because they have the HD Rumble, and then they have the amazing gyro, and then they could even do, of course, all the quirkiness of the.
Yeah, just tap A whenever pick the nose or whatever.
Oh man, one of my favorite Wii U games is Game & Wario. Just seriously, one of my favorite games. I don't know if you've dived into that. Johnny, did you ever play that?
I played a little here and there. It did not click with me.
Okay, so it's a staple in my house for multiplayer sessions. Some of the most ingenious multiplayer games ever created, because you can play the game with just one gamepad. That's kind of the cool thing. But anyway, all of the extras, like capsule machine toys that you get in that game, are so funny and so weird. And unfortunately, they don't have a lot of. They have some funny ones, but it's nothing on the scope of previous games. Well, especially Game & Wario. There's just, oh my goodness, you got to check those out. But yeah, the extras, the little bonus extras, are kind of a let me down. But
what
whatever.
do you mean, the Amiibo scanner?
That's amazing. Now, there are some really cool things. Like, I'll get to the Amiibo scanner, but the other thing is the you can record your own subtitles for the cutscenes, both parts.
Oh boy,
and keep
I
them
can see
recorded.
those getting interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's a great concept, great idea, and you can save them, so like for posterity and whatever. But then yes, the Amiibo sketch where he draws if you scan in like almost any Amiibo, he'll draw a picture of them.
And they're all goofy, like little, sort of cartoony.
Yes.
Maybe what like a 7-year-old
Here,
would
Johnny, I'll have
draw,
to send you the... Right. But the ones I'm gonna try to send this to you. The ones that are of Wario are amazing. It's like
The
super
most beautiful
crazy
pieces of art you could ever imagine.
Yes, and like he's buff, and I'm putting it in the chat right now.
He's got a
For both
6-pack.
both the WarioWare Wario and the normal Wario.
Amazing.
But you should check those out, Johnny. Yeah, so it's a really fun game. There are some even there is like you can play multiplayer with other people with WarioWare, and it's just like, man, why didn't this come out 8 years ago?
Honestly, even if it came out in 2016 leading up to the Switch, like it would have been, it probably would have done extremely well.
I mean, I'm just thinking like when you like this game is just like the epitome of the Street Pass, like where that could have been the magic of the Street Pass, which I think Johnny, you know about the magic of the Street Pass.
I love Street Pass. It's kind of it's a thing that's come and gone now, so I can really only I can only look at it nostalgically. But for a time, Street Pass was very exciting, and I took my 3DS absolutely everywhere.
And there is nothing more exciting than getting that.
Yeah.
That looking and seeing you pass someone with a 3DS. It's like, oh my goodness, that was so much fun. But anyway, like I wish this game was out at the beginning, and there could have been so much, and I don't know why they didn't. I don't know what their deal was. I don't know why they released Rhythm Heaven before WarioWare.
Rhythm Heaven was amazing.
Rhythm Heaven. Oh no! Like, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I mean they're both incredible, but it's just interesting, right? I don't know why the long hiatus on WarioWare, but it's back. It's great. I hope that
back to the cellar with it. It's got its time in the light.
And
okay, I'll release it. Yeah.
I don't know if Gold is going to do well enough to convince them to make a bigger budget WarioWare for Switch, but I think WarioWare would be great on mobile phones. If Nintendo's looking for other franchises to mine for that whole business arm, WarioWare, all you need is a touchscreen. You can do all kinds of stuff, and the style of it, I think, would really stand out in that market and would attract a lot of people. I mean, it is like you said earlier, it is like the most casual of games, but it's not boring. It's not easy necessarily. It's not.
It's addictive.
Right. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's addictive. There's really something to it. They can easily add more content to it and get people to come back. I don't know how you monetize it. Maybe you just sell it for a few bucks and then have DLC. But I don't know. That
guess
seems like kind of the perfect fit.
You could also do...
unfortunately, Johnny, I feel like you're completely right.
I was going to say that if they really wanted to be dirty, they could do the, like, you have X amount of plays, and you would go through plays so quickly, just, obviously the nature of the game. I mean, they'd have to give you a lot of free plays, and then, like, but, yeah, that would be good, especially, like you said, like, the whole point of a micro game. It's quick, snappy, and that's what a lot of people end up, with their phones, so, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah. But check out my review. It should be either up or close to being up on NintendoWorldReport.com.
That's a good website.
But
I approve.
It is a good website. Yeah. And we got some more stuff to talk about.
Yes, we do. I'll make it somewhat quick because we are getting a little long in the tooth here. But I've been playing.
Yeah, because we'll talk about this again too.
The recently released Dead Cells. Now, this is a roguelite. It is like a Metroidvania roguelite. So the game is essentially you have died and you find yourself sort of like reanimated in this body, and the person's like, hey, you need to get out of here. Good luck, you know, and there's monsters all over. So you start off, you go out, and it's like there's a couple weapons waiting for you. So you have like a sword, and then you can either pick up like a bow or a shield, and then you're sort of off and at 'em. And there are a couple abilities. I mean, essentially, you got 2 slots for weapons, and you can alternate. You could have both swords. Obviously, it's more beneficial to sort of have a nice little mix-up. You know, for me, I really like the ranged attacks, and so you have those 2 slots, and then you have slots for traps or grenades, and then you have a jump and double jump, and then a dodge ability. So, you know, it's a pretty standard set of abilities that you have, but the game is you're going to go through all these different areas, which are, I think they're randomly generated, but like with different set pieces. So it's not like it's not truly all random. So there are crafted areas, and they sort of like block together. So it's not always the same.
It's like a Enter the Gungeon.
So it's like, yeah, there are definitely going to be some like set pieces. You're like, oh, I've seen that a bunch of times before. But like it mixes it up enough where it doesn't feel repetitive every run, which is nice. And essentially, I guess, I mean, I've not gotten anywhere near the end of the game, I would presume, but you're going to go through all these layers and labyrinths, and you want to get out to the end of the game, which I believe there's an end boss, and then, you know, you're done. But each time, because it is a roguelite, each time you go, you're going to die, and you'll start right back at the beginning. But what's nice is, as you kill enemies, you pick up souls, or cells, excuse me. And they're not every enemy drops a cell, but you drop enough and you sort of collect them up. And what happens is when you get to the end of the first area, and you sort of start in like the prison and you sort of work your way out. When you get to the end of it, you sort of go into like a little hall, and it's almost like it's not a save room, but it's like, okay, you're going to talk to this guy, and you're going to put your cells into, like, he has an option menu. So, for instance, you have 1 potion to start out with, but if you put, I think, 50 cells, then you can use the potion twice. So, in the beginning, it's like, oh, I only have 1 potion, I'm taking damage, okay. But as you keep playing, and now all of a sudden, hey, now I have 2 potions. And there are a bunch of different abilities, and you pick up blueprints so you can actually craft weapons with these cells as well. And, like, one of the ones I did right away, and it was a lot of cells, was like, give me a random ranged weapon at the start of every run, because like I said, I like to use those. So it's good because in the beginning you're gonna die a lot, because even just the simple enemies, you know, you're still getting down their patterns. You know, you're weak, you don't really know what's going on, right? So you're working your way through, but you're rewarded by picking up these cells and getting your character to be a little more prepared for the later parts of the game. And you'll get to the point where, oh, I'm sort of blowing through this first area where, you know, it once was taking me quite some time to do. And the game actually rewards you for that, because you'll get to like the second level and you'll find a door, and you will get to it, and if you get to it quick enough, it opens up and there's a nice reward behind it. And usually it's like there might be an item, but honestly the items aren't even usually that great. They just give you a whole bunch of cells. So like you open a chest and you get like 20 of them. And that obviously is beneficial for upgrading your character. But if you don't make it there quick enough, it's like, hey, this door locked 2 minutes and 13 seconds ago. And you're like, okay, I wasn't even close. But I've gotten a couple where it's like, this door locked 2 seconds ago. And you're like, damn it. But the combat's fun because, like I said, you have the dodge, the roll, and the different swords and weapons are fun to mix and match. So, for instance, like, I've gotten double swords where it's, like, quick, you know, they don't do as much damage, but you do, like, a couple series of swings, and the final one is a better chance to crit. Then I've got a ranged weapon that freezes the enemies. So, like, that's great because I can run up, freeze them, hit them, and then I'm not really at risk for getting hit, obviously if the guy's frozen. And then there's all sorts of, like, modifiers where my sword, it does extra damage to frozen enemies. So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, perfect. Now I can hit him with that frozen, freeze him up, do mass damage. And eventually you actually will unlock a character that's sort of in that row that I was telling you about, where he will actually, you give him gold and it will re-roll a different modification on your weapon. And so then you can sort of mix and match where it's like, that one sort of isn't really, it hurts, does more damage to burned enemies, but I don't have anything that's burning any enemies, so it's like it's useless to me. So I could re-roll that. And it's really fun to just mix and match all the different weapon types. Like I said, when you're out and about, you'll find new patterns or blueprints that you can bring back, and then you could, get better items. And, you're going to have those runs where it's like, man, I'm not finding, like, anything really good. But then you'll have those runs where it's like, I had one run, it was just, like, every item I was finding was, like, perfectly, like I said, like, frozen, does extra damage to frozen units. Then I had one that actually added burns, so it's like I'm getting all these status afflictments on these enemies, and it's like damage is just ticking, So, and then you get up to the boss, the first boss, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's huge, Like I got wrecked in like 2 seconds.
Right.
And then it's like, all right, now I need to work my way back. But again, you're always building up your character, so it's like no run is complete. I mean, I guess if you don't get to that first save area to spend your your cells, I guess it would technically be a lost run. But after a couple runs, that's not really that difficult to do. So even if you're getting to that point and you only have 10 cells, it's like, well, that's still 10 closer to something that's going to ultimately make this better and easier for me as I continue to push forward. And you keep getting to new areas, and like I got it was like a town area or city area, and it's just like, oh my goodness, there's so many enemies, and now these enemies, when you kill them, they blow up with smaller enemies that come out of them, and you're like, at first it's super overwhelming, and you die in 2 seconds, and you're like, oh my god. But then you learn the patterns, so it's like, all right, now I'm a little more well equipped to sort of go into that area and take care of business. So it's just a nice sort of loop in the sense that, like, you're gonna run into that inevitable wall, and then you get there once or twice more, and you're like, okay, now you know what, there are cracks in that wall, it isn't, I can get past this, and then all of a sudden then it becomes super easy and you're not even worried about it. So I'm liking the game loop so far.
Oh man, I can't wait to play
it
this
looks
game.
really nice. People are talking, like, I know the hypes, Neil and David and Justin Nation, everyone was like, this game is like, on 10. Justin gave it a 10. I don't know, for me, I don't think it's that amazing. Like, it's a really great game. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if maybe the hype was just so high that's why it's like, oh, I didn't meet that expectation, but I am still having fun with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say about it when you pick that bad boy up physical.
Yeah, and also, Johnny, are you interested in this game at all?
I'm very interested. Yeah, I've played a little bit of a demo of it, and was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna want to get this. But I really want the Switch version, but I've heard that it's got some performance problems, and it's gonna be a while, like October, November, before the developers can patch it. So I guess I'm just gonna wait.
Do you know what exactly they were saying? Like just not like frame rate or chugging or something, or?
Yeah, it sounds like it has some frame rate problems. So yeah, the developers were just like, yeah, it's like not trivial to improve the performance on Switch. We're gonna have to go in and like actually change some of the underlying ways that we process, various parts of the game in order to sort of optimize it better to run on Switch. So it seems totally, I mean, from what I've seen of Dead Cells, it looks like, it's certainly not beyond the capabilities of the system. I think they just, by their own admission, the developers said, we thought it was more important to put it out on the same day as the other consoles than to optimize it. And maybe that's true for some people, but it's not for me.
Well, I will say
I want it to work properly, especially a game like that is very much action oriented and timing based, and like you need really tight controls. I don't want to be distracted by that sort of thing.
I will say I've been playing mostly handheld. I'd say like not like maybe once or twice on docked mode. So as far as handheld mode goes, I haven't really run into too many issues. I can think of a few times where it like sort of stuttered a little bit, but it'd be usually when I'd be like entering an area and not like in the middle of combat as much. But I will once like I said, I'm in the middle of a move, so it's like my whole system's all screwed up, so I don't have like a nice easy place to play it docked. But I will have to check that out and see if maybe it runs a little worse on there. Because I was actually a game I've been playing, Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2, which
is it really the sequel?
Yeah.
Is there a one?
Yeah, there's. Let me tell you, I want to talk more about it next week, just because it will be here forever. Not a great name, and you would like you said, you hear that name, and you're like, man, that game's got to stink, right? Actually, surprisingly, a really fun game, but I noticed with that game, when I was playing in handheld, it ran like it. I didn't really experience any problems, and then when I threw it docked, there were definitely some areas where it sort of stuttered a little bit. So
you're reviewing that for the site, right? Yep.
But yeah, surprisingly
cool.
Good game.
With Dead Cells, I just pre-ordered that just right before we started.
Yeah,
recording.
no, it is definitely a fun game.
The physical version. Because I'm a physical kind of guy, and I know Johnny is a digital kind of guy.
Oh yeah, all the way. He was
digital on the Wii U.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I could, I went all digital. The only physical game I have on digital? Switch is Labo.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I actually, I just, I'm a big physical collector guy, and with the move, I purged my entire NES collection, a bunch of my like extra N60. So I'm like parting ways. So I'm, it sucks becoming less physical, but like the digital is so nice.
It is liberating. Yeah. I have moved a lot in the last few years, so it's a decision that I look back on and think, yeah, I was pretty smart.
Yeah, I still have so many boxes.
Such a hassle to carry that stuff around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to go find it. Like when I want to go find a game, if it's within the last 10 years, I know exactly where that game is. It's on my system.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's in one of the 8 boxes I need to load into my car for my 13-hour drive.
Oh boy.
Fun times. Hey, at least with Switch, you can play all your Nintendo games. You can still play even though you don't have a TV hooked up.
Oh, it's perfect.
We're between homes, you're on the road, you're sleeping on somebody's couch, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty great to have a huge library of like just all kinds of different games,
Right.
Oh, and especially with the eShop and us reviewing a lot of games and stuff, it's like I have so many games on my Switch. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. But we were gonna talk about modding the Pro Controller with Johnny.
Sure.
But we're running pretty late.
Yeah.
So did
I can talk about it very quickly because it's really not a big deal. That's kind of the one
cool.
thing.
Yeah. Tell me.
It's the thing I want to say. I don't know if you guys have gone through this process before, but
I haven't yet. But I'm very interested.
One of the reasons I went back and picked up Bloodstained again and ended up finishing it is I wanted to test out the Pro Controller. So for a long time I'd been wanting to do this, and I finally was just like, I'm just gonna do this. I looked at a couple articles. I pulled up a YouTube video, and using just a standard, very small Phillips head screwdriver, but you don't need any kind of special bit on it or anything. You open up the Pro Controller and crack it open, and this is to fix the D-pad. How it tends to mix in like orthogonal or perpendicular inputs. Like if you're pushing right, it'll tend to blend in some ups and downs of that because of the way the sensors are laid out on the plastic or the rubber that's inside of it. So you can fix it with the only tools you need are a screwdriver and maybe some scissors to cut tape. But you can use Scotch tape, just like invisible tape, to cover up parts of the contacts. and you're not covering it up completely. You're just reducing the amount of the sensor that gets mashed when you push the thing down, and that helps cut out the crosstalk where it's pushing on more than one place. There's a lot of unintended diagonals, basically, is what it ends up being. And one of the things I learned is that there's a menu in the Switch system settings that lets you test button inputs. And so it's actually very useful for doing like a before and after. So if you want to see, if you have a Pro Controller and this has ever bothered you, it bothered me a lot playing Blaster Master.
It's the worst thing ever, yeah.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
It's like it took me maybe half an hour to fix it, and you don't need any electronic, skills or special tools or anything. Just watch a video.
You just have to be an aerospace doctor.
No, you just have to be patient and willing to deal with a lot of tiny little screws. That's the most annoying part, is just getting the screws in there and just lining up the screwdriver on them. But I will say there's a ribbon cable that you have to lift up you have to like use a screwdriver or something and lift up this tiny little metal gate that loosens the ribbon, and then you pull the ribbon out. That part was easy, although a little scary. It was easy. Getting the ribbon back in once I was reassembling the controller, that is the single most difficult part. It's because there's not a lot of physical feedback to when you've done it correctly. You just sort of have to line it up, and I was like very gently trying to get it in there and just like get it up flush against whatever it lines up against. And then at some point you just have to decide, okay, well, I guess this is as good as it gets. And then you push the little gate down to lock it in. And then you just hope that it works. Actually, once you put the battery back in, you could test the controller without, at least just to make sure it's working at all, without putting all the rest of the screws in. So it's not too bad, but that's the only hard part. It's just wedged in there. It's really tiny. So, and I have big fingers and big hands, so it's pretty difficult to get that little ribbon cable back in. But it's really not very technical. If you watch somebody do it on YouTube, you can probably pull it off yourself, and it definitely makes a difference. You can, like I said, you can directly test it in the menu, but then playing the game, it's noticeable. It's like, now I feel confident using the D-pad. I still don't think the Pro Controller has the best D-pad. I just don't think the material and I don't think the tactile feel of it is that great. Maybe the Hori Joy-Con that you got is better, but it's usable now, and it is a D-pad on the Switch that I already own. So now I'm really glad that I can actually use it. I will be putting it to good use with stuff like Dead Cells, probably.
Yeah, the Pro Controller D-pad blows. Ugh. And the worst thing is, I always forget about how bad it is until, like you said, you're playing one of those games and you're just like, nope. It's like, give me those Joy-Cons. Come on, it's like, ugh.
Right.
I don't know how they let that out, but it's promising that sounds like there's a pretty easy solution, so I might have to look into that as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah, it is the easiest console mod I've ever done. And I definitely recommend it. If you want to play a lot of 2D games on the Pro Controller, it is worth doing. Makes it quite a bit better.
Awesome. And I do, and I will. But thank you, Jonny, for filling us in on that. We are going to take a quick break now to stop and save, because I'm very scared that this is going to be all deleted. a repeat of our first episode. But let's take a quick break, and then we can stop, or we can do the eShop Roundup.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, we are back, and we are down one Jonny Metts. He had to step out for a hot second. Isn't that right, Perry?
That's right.
He'll be back, I have a feeling. But, you know what time it is.
Oh man, it's time for that eShop Roundup.
The eShop Roundup.
Yeehaw. Yeah, I know it's not our 100th, because we started eShop Roundup a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that was at the initial.
To be honest, I don't know. We should look that up.
We could look it up, and then after the break, it's almost like we could talk about it or something. Just like, we knew that the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, what better way to kick off the 100th eShop Roundup, quote unquote, but not really, with Flip Over Frog. for
Flip
$7.50.
Frog.
Apparently, this is a popular board game.
Really?
That's what they're telling me. A popular board game makes its entrance on the Nintendo Switch. 4x4 square encampment battle. Flip cards over, get the largest number. All right.
I guess. Sure.
If they're saying it.
Actually, it looks. I'm looking at gameplay right now, and it looks really clean and nice. So.
Well, I feel like the board games translate pretty well, you know, over to games. Yep. Especially with the Switch, just pop that puppy down.
Yeah, it looks bright and colorful and kind of Japan inspired. Looks cool. Very cool. I'm looking at Nintendo's footage.
Old Nintendo.
Yep. Now, next up, we have Oh Baby. You know what time it is.
What time is it, Perry?
It's an arcade archive time.
Woo! It's not a week yet, though, because this isn't a Neo Geo game.
No, this isn't. First up, we have Arcade Archives Kids Hori Daisakusen.
I'm sure glad you took that one.
Now, this game looks interesting. It looks really cool, actually. It has like a Mid-Eastern vibe to it, right?
Yeah, I could sort of see that, and then I wonder exactly what you're doing, running around collecting and beating up some bad guys.
Yeah.
Which one is the 23rd century? Go through the Primitive Age, the Eod Age, and other epochs.
Oh, it's like a little. It's kind of like a little puzzly game where you're going through mazes. Kind of looks like Bomberman and kind of like Mole Mania. So that looks cool.
I guess that's
actually.
yeah, it looks interesting.
Very cool. That was released in 1987. But
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, before.
It's like 100 episodes ago.
Yep. Okay, what else do we got?
We got Blobcat.
Blobcat.
For $9.99. The Blobcats are after the dice mice.
They are.
I like that little tagline there. Yeah, it looks like we got some sort of grid-like board, and I'm guessing this is going to be some sort of puzzle game here. Puzzle party arcade game. In Blobcat, it's your job to protect the dice mice. Place arrows and guide the dice mice to the mice hole. But beware, the native Blobcats are rolling around, not quite at the speed of sound. In parentheses. Solve over 90 different levels spanning over 5 worlds, each with unique game twists. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Adam Abu Nasser wrote the review, and he liked the game. And yeah, check out the review at NintendoWorldReport.com. But next up, we have the amazing Shinsen. Can you read that?
I was thinking, I was like, man, I got
Shinsen Gwini Heroes in Love for $11.99. Let me guess. This is some sort of romantic hero game.
It's an adventure game.
Okay,
and a romance game for women, where you fall in love with members of the famed Shinsengumi.
So it's like perfectly made for you. Then is what you're saying. An adventure game for women.
I've already got it downloaded. That's why I couldn't tell what the price was. Next up here, we got a game that I talked about last week, and that is Subara City.
Yeah.
That's how I always say it, Subara City.
You know,
it's a cute little puzzler.
You know, I always never listen to you during our actual podcast when you're talking about a game. I always listen to it while I'm listening to the podcast after it's posted. Mm-hmm. Just a little thing I started doing. It's a little trick I learned.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to listen to me twice.
No, that's wasting my time. I could be playing Captain Toad at that time. No, but the way on last episode 99, you talked about it with Jules, and it really sounds like a calming, relaxing, fun game. I love the style of this game, so don't sleep on this if someone's looking for a good time waster or time. You know what I mean.
It's nice. Like I said, it's a really good game to play while watching a movie or TV or something.
Right.
Because it's one of those, like, you can just not pay attention to it for a minute or so, and it's, you're not going to be penalized for it. But absolutely. I actually do think you would probably like this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you always like those little, I feel like those, like, where the loop, the gameplay is simple, and it's like a simple sort of loop, but, like, there's little nuances in it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like those are the games you sort of like to, at least your arcadey games.
Yeah, I do. absolutely. So I'll probably end up getting this actually.
I think
so.
it's cheap too. What's it, $4.99?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And next up, though, we have Unexplored Unlocked Edition. And I don't know how much this costs.
The Dungeon of Doom awaits. It
How much is it?
Well, it's 10% off right now. The normal price is Jimmy, $15.
Oh,
And
boy.
it is $13.50 with the 10% off.
Ugh. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of game is this then?
I don't know. Let's see. It is a RPG adventure puzzle game, according to /simulation. They throw it all in there. Descend into the depths of the Dungeon of Doom and complete your quest. Steal the amulet of Yonder from the fearsome dragon and make it out alive. So, it's a roguelite that feels like a roguelike. Alright. So, yeah, so you'll probably go down, get some permanent upgrades that makes the sledding a little
It's top
easier.
down. It kind of looks like a twin stick. It's like a twin stick shooter, you know. But it kind of reminds me of a 10 tons.
And you know what? It also
with
has
a different kind of art style.
a tumble seed kind of look to it.
Yes, it is like 10 tons and Tumbleseed put together.
Boom.
Yes, that's exactly it. Totally.
Next up here we have Shut Eye for $3.99. This is saying an arcade game, but it looks sort of like an adventure game. A child's mind is innocent yet troubling. Take control of a young girl as she spends the week without her parents in a place far away from home. Keep her calm, keep her safe, keep her in the light, Perry.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's kind of like a walking
sim.
sim. I mean, it's
It says arcade, but that doesn't. This does not look like an arcade
it's like a
game.
horror game. I'm watching gameplay footage where it kind of looks like it's a VR game.
I like if you look in the corner. I guess she has her anxiety levels.
Yes.
But it's funny. The one looks like that thing with the spider legs and the doll head. That looks like straight out of Toy Story.
Totally. They're cannibals.
Bull.
You heard that about how scary that is, like for that Toy Story movie, and like that I love how they sneak in adult things.
Oh
to
yeah.
Toy
So
Story.
yeah,
It's
that
funny.
only the kids will just fly right over their heads.
Yeah. All right. Next up, though, for $15.99, we have Megaton Rainfall.
What a name!
Isn't it funny? All these games, I never heard of any of these games, and they're released. You know,
And
there's
here,
just so
and
many
yet here
games
they
on
are.
the Switch, on the Switch.
This is a first-person superhero game. A global alien invasion is taking place, and you must face it alone. All right.
Yeah.
So maybe it's got a little. I mean, I guess if you're a superhero, you're probably just kicking keisters. But
right now, I'm watching a commercial on YouTube for Taco Bell, and now I want some nacho fries. But
those are the best.
yes, I'm looking at it. Ooh. Oh, you're flying in the air. Oh, this is a cool. It's like a Superman.
But you're
from
Megaton
Superman's view.
Rainfall Man.
Is that? Yeah.
Nah, I don't
This
know
is
what
very interesting looking, actually. Everyone should check this out. It's like this actually looks really cool. It's kind of like what it would be like to be able to fly like Superman. So
Boom.
but it's kind of like
$15.99.
yeah, and you can be Superman for $15.99. But what else do we got, Cassie?
I was getting worried for a moment.
I cannot believe
Neo
this game
Geo, baby.
hasn't
It
been
is
released
back.
yet.
It would have been on episode 100 that all of a sudden the Neo Geo streak ends. Be like,
Oh yeah,
they should have
that'd be
released like
perfect.
15 just for,
Man,
for
look
the
at that.
occasion. But
they totally did us a favor, right? They hamster tossed us the original Neo Geo release that they released Metal Slug 2, I believe, right? Or 3 for the at the beginning of the Switch, and now it's episode 100 and it's Metal Slug 4.
Quattro.
Yeah, and my goodness, look at these screenshots. It doesn't get I'm
No,
telling you.
the Neo Geo is awesome.
I remember writing the review for Metal Slug 3 and I just the peak or 2, I can't remember. Who cares? But the graphics are just unbelievable. Like I like to see pixel graphics that are more animated and anyway.
It's like
Yeah,
Nintendo
Metal
should
Slug is
just
a no-brainer.
do imagine they took that art style and made a Donkey Kong Country game.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. Well, they kind of did, but I know. Good old Donkey Kong or Wario. I'd love a new Wario game.
or Waluigi. No, I'm just kidding. Alrighty here. What do we got next, Perry?
we have Minute, what we talked about last week.
Yep. And this is
Minute on the
$9.99.
Oh, is it $9.99?
Yep.
Okay.
And it is, like I said, yeah, it's like that cool little, you got 60 seconds to get an objective to push yourself further before it resets.
Yes, and this is a really, really cool game. And I don't know when we're going to be announcing this little dealio, but we will be doing a giveaway on this podcast of this game in this next week. So
Yes, among other things, but yeah.
among other things, yes. So be ready for that. Okay.
Steer clear.
Steer. Well, I was gonna say steer clear of buying it until, but then I was like, well, don't steer clear of buying it because
Steer clear that giveaway.
yes.
I tell you what
do we have next?
This next game,
I just pre-ordered this.
Okami
physically
HD. Now, this is one when it was first announced, I'm like, oh yeah, I've never played this game. And then just with, the onslaught of games coming, it was like, oh, maybe I'll just pass Okami. But now I'm looking at the screenshots, and my god.
Dude, I pre-ordered this from PlayAsia yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Physical edition. Yeah,
Dude, it looks like that one. I'm looking at the screenshot, where like the wolf is running through town and the windmill in the background. Oh,
yeah, man. I've always wanted to play it. I mean,
it's like
this
the
is a
most incredible art
thing.
style I've ever seen.
It's, yeah. And these are from Clover, from, now Platinum. I mean, most people Platinum. Then Beautiful Joe, one of my favorite franchises of all time. So,
9.1 gigabytes, though. Dang.
Well, I got the physical version.
Big
but
boy.
you have to download. What if you have to download it?
You need to download
Oh my
8.1 gigs.
Seriously.
If I did not mention, that is $19.99.
They really Bethesda'd that one.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, that's $19.99. You can pre-order from PlayAsia for like $29.99, and then it's like $7 shipping. I think.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, I thought this game was $40 when it was announced.
So you were you were like, all right, you're in.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then Aaron said it was $20. I'm like, $20? What? And then I was like, well, there has to be. There's no way this isn't coming physically.
Well,
and
I said I was gonna spend 40, and I'm gonna spend 40. Dang it.
Exactly. But next up, we have for $6.99, Dead Fun. I can't read from this. Dead Fun Pack.
Yes, Dead Fun Pack.
Penguins
and aliens strike again.
Strike again. Okay, for $6.99.
One of the I don't know if I guess maybe a collection of mini games or something, or if maybe you just could put filters on it. But one of them is like the old Game & Watch surrounding.
Oh, really?
But let's see. Yeah, action platformer shooter is a collection for those who love challenges, including Run, Run, and Die, and Mutant Alien Moles of the Dead. Both games designed by Pixelbone Studio. So I guess it's 2 games within one, I guess. All right. Well, moving along, we've got
Would
tiny.
you believe that that's not the first thing that comes up when you search for penguins and aliens?
Jesus.
All right, what else do we got?
Next up here, we have Tiny Hands Adventure.
What?
It is $16.99, but it is currently 25% off, down to $12.74.
Okay.
This is a platformer, apparently. It looks like a 3D platformer. Maybe? Yeah, 3D, but...
Oh, wow.
I don't know what's going on.
Gameplay.
Very colorful. Looks sort of like an N64 style game, in that vein.
Almost like Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. But then there's like
like-
one screenshot that looks very 2D and like hand-drawn visuals here. But most of it looks like a 3D platformer. So I don't know if maybe that's just like a little blip in there or whatever, but yeah, the sale ends 8:30 by the way. So that's pretty long sale.
$12.74. It's the funniest price.
It's a beautiful
I've ever seen.
price.
Yep.
What do we got
Alright.
next here?
I'm not exactly sure. Is it Nightmares from the Deep 2?
Yes, The Siren's Call.
Oh, for $13.49 because it's on sale from $14.99.
Yep. And this sale ends. I just noticed this, the notifications little button there. Or not button. If you scroll down, you can see when all the sales end. That ends the 18th. So you have a couple days from when this goes live.
Gotcha.
But,
Now, what is this game?
this right here
It looks funny.
I mean, the visuals look pretty cool. I don't know if that's just art. Yeah, this looks like just sort of concept art, maybe. It's telling me it's a puzzle adventure game. When Sarah Black, curator of the Caribbean Naval Museum, receives a package from a mysterious messenger, she is unwittingly drawn into an ancient conflict. Inside the package,
Okay.
yada 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 yada.
Okay, this is a total adventure, like scanning and searching. You know, you're just
So what you're
tapping and
telling me
searching around.
is that that's a hard pass.
For Cassie Gibbons, yes,
Yes.
sir.
Next up here, we got a cute little game, Tetris Escape. For $3.99, that is 20% off from the list price of $4.99. That sale ends the 19th. Now, this is a platforming puzzle game,
Yeah,
and it's
only-
very blocky looking.
Yeah, it is. It's a side scroller.
Well, it looks.
Side-scrolling.
It's funny. Like the first picture, you think you might be like moving around in 3D space, but yeah, it looks like it's just a 2D.
Yep, I'm looking at
2D
stuff. Looks like
puzzler.
you use like Tetris blocks, like the
Yeah,
Tetris shapes.
yeah,
to
like
move
literally
around.
Tetris blocks.
Yep. Tetrominos. So
Tetrominos.
I mean, it's on sale for $4 right now. It's normally $5. You know, I mean, it looks like you can't go wrong. Looks fun.
Boom, boom. Next
Colorful.
up, Perry, what do we got? Can you read it?
Fun Box Party for
Woo!
$1.99.
You know what? That's eligible for up to 10 coins.
No, it's not. Is it?
I know, it's what it's telling me.
Well,
You getting ready to meet up with friends? Question mark. Funbox Party is the perfect party package. Yeah, so yeah, I guess a little puzzle game.
all right. Well, let's move on to The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, the final season. 3 thes in that name.
The. Why isn't it the season pass?
I don't know. But it's $19.99. I've never played any of the Walking. I've never seen Walking Dead, and I've never played any of them.
Yeah, I'm
or
looking. This
read comics or anything.
This is a season pass, so this includes all 4 episodes. The first one is available now, but the other 3 are not available until December. They're all listed for December, so I don't know if that's just placeholders, you know? Because you'd presume they would sort of spread them out a little bit. But I played when I got my Vita, I bought The Walking Dead, like the first season. I played like the first episode, and it's cool, but it's like I'm not a Walking Dead fan, so it was like, you know, it didn't really catch my my full attention. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
And we all know what happened with me with Batman.
Yep.
Which is so good, but it didn't work.
Oh, but it didn't work. Now this, I appreciate this next game right here. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
2064 read-only memories integral, but the price is $20.64.
That's pretty good.
Bravo. Normally I'd be like, what a bunch of jimmies, but I love it. I love it. The ultimate edition of the award-winning cyberpunk adventure, enhanced for the Nintendo Switch. Does it tell us what's new for the Switch?
So yeah, this is kind of a
HD Rumble.
What's this rated?
Extras include 55 digital art book, soundtrack, more. It is rated M. Blood, drug references, strong language, suggestive themes, use of alcohol, and Perry's favorite, violence.
Oh, I love.
But yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never really heard of it, but I guess a lot of adventure games this week.
Yeah. Well, this is the pixel art's very cool in this game too. But yeah.
Now, moving on to our last game.
Yeah.
For a
Cosmic?
real... Yeah, you could go.
Yeah, Cosmic Star Heroine.
Now, here's the thing, guys. You're not going to want to miss this sale. 5% off. $14.19 down from $14.99. But don't you guys fret, because you have till the 28th to catch that 5% off.
Oh.
Now, I've
really?
heard good things about this game.
Yeah, where have we heard that from?
I think, I don't know, I saw like Neil and people talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an RPG game.
Yeah, oh, David Lloyd.
Was
did the review.
old
And
D
he did a
Lloyd?
video review. Old D Lloyd.
Oh, he did.
And,
Okay.
yeah, he gave it a really good score. And check out the video review on NWRTV and the written review at NintendoReport.com.
Boom. And that's it, Perry.
That's it.
A modest eShop roundup.
Yeah, how many titles is that? Like that's like
I believe the
12,
count was 19.
15. Yeah.
Just
Wow.
just shy of
Under
20.
20. Woo! They gave us a break for our 100th episode. They knew that we would need some more time.
Yeah, they're gonna be like
Right?
an 18-hour-long episode. We better throw just 19 this week.
That's right. Very good. Well, thank you for joining me on we have all the titles rounded up now. Now we can finally go to bed. Probably eat a nice our wives have made us a nice supper.
Supper. Or
Yeah.
we've got like another I'd say hour and a half of yakking. And that's
Well,
not
yeah,
even
I mean, yeah, that's true.
and that's not even including the first hour of yakking.
I was playing make believe. Like I wasn't really saying that we were gonna go eat. You're not even married.
I thought
for
I
Pete's
thought
sake.
we were I thought we were. And I thought you were making me supper. I thought you were
I'm
making
not
me
your wife.
homemade nacho fries.
Yeah.
And now
homemade
I'm
from
just
Taco Bell.
disappointed.
I'm sorry. Well, you can go down and get a fries box for $5. So
Nope.
you go do that.
I'm going to bed.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stay with Johnny, and we're gonna talk about the news then.
Ooh, yep. We've got some news, and it's going to be a good one. But let's take a quick little breather, because I think I hear Johnny knocking at the door. Woo!
Hello.
Alrighty, we are back. And you know what time it is, Perry.
Johnny's back too.
Yep.
Hey,
yeah.
Here's Johnny.
It
I had to
me.
make that joke once. Well, yeah, because you went away for the eShop roundup just for
You had to make an important house call.
creative differences, and
I had to
came back to the
tend my
news.
affairs.
yeah. But yes, it's time for the news.
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
So, what do we got on the docket, Case?
We got a few things here. Of course, we already knew the Smash Direct was taking place after we recorded last episode, but before it released, so we were in a weird spot where it's like everyone already knew what happened before we did. But I figured we could go over a little some of the important parts here. Obviously, we've got King K. Rool joining the fight, as well as Simon, which Simon Belmont was sort of rumored beforehand. I guess somebody had added a melody or some sort of music track that hinted towards Simon Belmont. So that was sort of...
there was like a leak before.
Yeah, the cat was out of the bag with that one. But what was cool is we got an Echo Fighter, Richter, which I forget
Boom.
which Castlevania game he was in.
He is from he's from the
Symphony of the Night?
Turbo CD game and Symphony of the Night. Yeah,
Okay.
because
All right,
he's your main character in. Why can't I think of that? The Turbo CD game. They did a retroactive on our
Dracula X?
Yeah, Dracula X. So Richter is the main character in that, and then in Symphony of the Night, he's the villain.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, to me, Simon looks awesome. Like that as a fighter, his moveset, like how he has that super long smash attacks and just all of his and then just the way they introduced him with like all like the cool stage and all the like the mummy and all the different characters sort of coming, Dracula, it seems pretty cool, and it's cool to get Konami on board with old Simon. We also got Crom and Dark Samus as Echo Fighters. Shovel Knight, assist trophy. He does not get the full character, but he gets the assist trophy, so he's in there. And they announced that there'd be a special edition of Smash Ultimate that would come with the game. The GameCube USB adapter and then one GameCube controller. So I guess they did the same thing with Wii U. So I guess it's not too unprecedented. But
and the GameCube adapter has been supported on Switch for a while, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like a secret feature that they've been supporting, which was one of the reasons people thought that they were. I guess it was obvious they were going to make a Smash Brothers for for Switch, but but yeah, I guess that really sealed the deal, because why else would they do it?
Right.
It's so funny, they'll never get rid of that GameCube controller.
Yeah,
man. It will haunt Nintendo systems forever.
Well, because
it's like it's like the Smash Pad. You know what I mean? Like how everyone has those, like the fighting sticks and stuff.
Even though I like playing with the Pro Controller better, but I like playing with the 3DS the best. So I
totally get why people like playing Smash Brothers with a GameCube controller, because they're used to it. And they've been, obviously they've been doing it for a long time. I mean, Melee is more than 15 years old. So
17.
Some people pretty much their whole lives they've been playing Smash Brothers with that controller. And you could do it on the Wii, so that carried on through 2 whole generations. But sometimes I hear people say it's the perfect controller for Smash Brothers. And I just always think, what about that controller makes it so good for Smash Brothers? I don't buy that at all. The analog triggers, the funky different sized buttons, it's not like one attack. It's not like your normal attacks are so much more important than your special attacks that you want one of the buttons to be 3 times the size of the other, it's so bizarre to me that people defend the GameCube controller as being like so perfectly suited. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think it's just that culture. They're used to it, like you said. So
it is comfortable to hold, which is nice if you're like white knuckles clenched up, trying to do your wave dash and like hyper speed to try to beat your opponent.
Right.
So I guess that makes sense ergonomically.
Right.
But yeah, the layout and the buttons and the triggers of that controller are not really particularly conducive to Smash Brothers as a series. So I think it's. I understand why Nintendo would continue to support it, because obviously there's a lot of appeal for it, but I do kind of I just want to tell people, maybe you should move on. Maybe you should try it with another controller, because it plays fine on modern controllers, and the GameCube is kind of ridiculous. It's like, to me, it's sort of like people demanding that Nintendo release a Game Boy controller so they can play Tetris on the newest console. It's like, I mean, I know you played a lot of it on those buttons, but maybe try it on a different controller. I don't know.
You might be onto something, though.
The Game Boy as a controller, that is really ignorant of the experience of playing an original Game Boy, which is that your hands hurt very quickly. So it's not comfortable to hold at all.
You know what, though? Nintendo's probably laughing, though, because they're like, we could just pump out these adapters and GameCube controllers and just keep selling them. Because, like you said, it's so ingrained in Smash, and I'll admit that, like, I play on a GameCube controller just because I always have, I mean, I'm not so serious about Smash that, like, if they didn't support the GameCube controller, like, I wouldn't play the game. But, like, I don't know.
If you have the option, you're happy to take it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, like, I won't buy this special edition, but I already have the USB, adapter from Wii U and the GameCube controller. So it's like, that's probably how I'll still play. But, yeah, it's like I could see the Pro Controller being probably just as good, if not better, once, like you said, you sort of wrap your head around, like, I don't need to play on that controller.
It seems like just one last try at getting Melee players to leave it behind, and
please.
And I mean the people who just like still primarily play Melee. Like Melee is, no kidding, like maybe one of my all-time favorite games, and the game that I've spent the most time playing.
One of the best Jonny Metts stories ever.
There's a lot of stories around Melee, but I probably know the one you're talking about, because it is
the one where you
pretty funny.
Because you played as Ness, right?
I played as Ness. Yeah, I still play as Ness.
Yeah. Can you tell the story real quick?
Is that? I don't know. I mean, it makes me look like such a jerk. So I don't love the story, although it is true. But
it's so good.
Yeah, I was playing some kids. I was in New York at the Nintendo World Store, and it was my first time ever being there, and I was really excited. And it was, I don't know, like 2003 probably. It was I think it was the first time I ever went to New York City, and I went in the store, and up on the second level they had gameplay, like free play kiosks set up, and one of them had 4-player Smash Brothers Melee, and I was like, oh, this is great. And I played all the time, mostly one-on-one with a friend, and so I picked it up, and there was just this one. I remember there was like this one kid that was just like really mouthy and kind of like, I don't know, like bossing around or bullying the other kids playing, and
obnoxious.
He was just being really obnoxious.
And his name was Jonny Metts.
I went over and just sort of put him in his place, and I just like threw down, and I just beat him really badly, and then I don't think I didn't really say anything, but when it was over, I just sort of dropped the controller and walked away.
My business is done here.
So
yeah,
funny.
it was very ridiculous, and it was really fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was worth it.
It reminds me sort of like when Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out. I had a friend who worked at GameStop, and he got it like the night early. So of course, like we played the crap out of it. We were like level like 25, by the morning, and we went to the New York City launch party, and it was just like, we're like, anyone want to battle? We're just clowning people.
Oh man, they're like,
oh
dude, you already have it.
Eat
Crazy.
it. Yep. Young,
Anyway.
to be young and dumb. But so how do you guys feel about the new characters? I mean, I know Perry was not too enthused about King K. Rool.
I'm not enthused. I'm more like still like legitimately upset that Waluigi is not in the game.
There's still time.
No, there's not.
He's going to be a DLC character.
They would have to
it's just
really
stupid.
like reverse their policy or remove him as an assist trophy.
I know, and it's stupid.
I could already
King K.
picture
Rool
the
over Waluigi?
introduction
Come on.
video where it's like Smash going on and someone grabs the Waluigi assist trophy, and all of a sudden just somehow he busts out to his own character. Or like an internal struggle of busting out of that little capsule.
That'd be amazing.
Well, until then, I'm not super excited about King K. Rool.
What about you, Johnny?
Specifically because of Waluigi, that is salty. I mean, I think there's plenty of reasons to not like King K. Rool because he's kind of a lame character. But I feel like Smash has a chance to redeem characters who, like really never got their due in their own series.
Right.
So there's plenty of characters in Smash Brothers that I'm much more fond of as a result of not just the fact that they're in Smash Brothers and that they brought them back, but I think they've like Sakurai and his teams have kind of improved these characters in a lot of ways by giving them more interesting moves, kind of fleshing out their animations, in a lot of cases updating their models to more modern graphical standards and or even making 2D characters into 3D models. And I just think they're so good at that, and so I'm kind of on board with whatever and whoever they want to put in this game, because it's always fun to me to just see how they realize it. And King K. Rool is like kind of great in the sense that like he's a character that just wouldn't think that it could even work, like it just seems like such a bad idea to put him in a fighting game, that I love that Sakurai is like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And also, that's a character that it's a Western character that's probably pretty well known in Japan because Donkey Kong Country was a big hit there. And the weird thing to me is he's not really in the Retro Studios games, is he? I'm trying to remember.
No, I think it was just in the trilogy there.
Yeah, so it's like he's not even a recent character by any means.
Right.
But
now, if they announce a new one and he's the main villain, that would be really sweet. But
I could see that happening, especially if he becomes very popular in Smash Brothers. I think that. I'll tell you right now, I'm not sure Bayonetta 3 happens without Bayonetta being in Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS.
Right.
Smash Brothers has a very real power to revive people's interest in series, or to introduce characters to a whole new.
Right?
I think even Fire Emblem, but with Melee and Marth and stuff, like everyone's like, who the heck are these guys? And now all of a sudden, obviously you get a new Fire Emblem every year.
And I think it's too much to hope for, but that is very much the reason that I'm glad that Simon Belmont is in here, beyond the obvious, where that he's a cool character who kind of brings something new and different to the roster and to the whole Smash Brothers vibe. So I'm very excited.
Totally.
I love Castlevania, so I'm especially excited that they're bringing in Alucard. I'd prefer he was like a real playable character, but I think as an assist trophy, it sounds like he's going to be unusually complicated and interesting and persistent, which is really fun because he's my favorite character in that series probably. But yeah, Simon Belmont is just great. I mean, he does have a heritage in fighting games. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dream Mix TV Fighters for the N64. Or no, that was... Yeah, is it N64 or... That might be GameCube. No, that was right. That was early GameCube, Japan only, and it had Solid Snake, Optimus Prime, Bomberman was in it, I think.
Oh, right.
And Simon Belmont.
Right,
there were only like 8 characters, but most of them, and there are a couple were like that would be very obscure to American audiences. But,
those are huge characters.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's definitely precedent for this kind of thing, and I think it's just awesome to see Castlevania in the discussion, in the mix, and who knows, maybe he shows up at Evo next year and Konami says, maybe we should like hire somebody who knows how to make a Castlevania game. I know a studio with pretty recent experience who can do it really well. I can think of a lot of studios that could do it really well. But
and no,
I'd love to see
it's
that.
just funny too how they're like, the Castlevania stage, it's really cool, and check out all these songs we have for it. And
There's
just
like 34
like their
songs.
entire team were just so excited to work on Castlevania songs. I think there were 34 for one stage.
The music is, across
so
the whole
good.
series, the music is so fantastic in Castlevania. So to add that into the already ludicrous Smash Brothers soundtrack, it's perfect.
Like a lot of people said, it's like
it feels like a real hat tip to just game preservation and game culture preservation, because Castlevania has been poorly handled for quite a while, and it's very validating to see it show up in Smash Brothers and sort of be added to really like this very deep well of gaming history and culture and references that are packed into these games.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It deserves to be.
So much music in these games. Like you said, people were just saying $60 would be worth just the 28 hours of unique music that's included, which is just bonkers.
And they show that you can turn the screen off and just use the Switch as a music player in your pocket. Which
Biggest
is
MP3 player.
Well, you say that, but if you take the Joy-Cons off, it's not that big.
Yeah, I guess it's
Right.
like an
It's a
iPhone
small tablet.
6 Plus almost.
Yeah.
Not that much bigger.
It's like having another phone. You put it in your other pocket away from your phone. Now you're good. You're good.
Boom.
You could go out jogging with your Switch, listen to Castlevania music.
And then when you get tired, you can just play a couple rounds.
Exactly.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, real quick before we move off the Smash, I just love the presentation too, where like Sakurai's like, yeah, we put this many songs in, and it'd be like, or whatever, it was like 400, 500, and all of a sudden it shoots up to 900, and like all the like, oh, look at all the characters we have like in the previous games and then now, and it's just bars breaking off the graphs.
That's amazing.
Good old Sakurai.
Yeah.
But
He's a nut.
moving, he's a madman. It's like, I know he continues to say like this is the last Smash, but I wonder. It really seems like this is like, just take everything, I'm gonna leave. But who knows?
This would be the one to go out on.
It'd be interesting to see what, like, he does so much for this franchise. It would be so cool to see him take on like I would love to see what Sakurai
Like Kid
has
Icarus.
planned next, Yeah, it'd probably be a Kid Icarus game or something. But like, imagine him just putting all of that love and time and effort into like a different product than Smash. Like, I would love to see that.
Well, and it really, he could do a lot of smaller games. I mean, Sakurai was really prolific between Melee and Brawl. He made 3 or 4 different games, I think, in that time, including like Meteos is one of my favorites. I would love to see him go back because they made a sequel to Meteos that was Disney licensed, but he was not involved, and it was definitely not as good.
Dude, Meteos is one of my favorite DS games.
Yeah.
That game.
So I would love to see him take a break, if not just totally retire. I really honestly think he'll retire, which is not to say Smash Brothers couldn't continue as a franchise.
Of course
but
it could continue.
I think it would mostly continue in the form of Nintendo just confidently porting Smash Brothers Ultimate to every system that they ever release afterward. Because, they rebuilt the Wii U and 3DS, mainly the Wii U game, they rebuilt it in Unreal Engine 4 for Switch. And I have to think part of the reason for that is that kind of assures them that they will be able to port it forward on a kind of a common industry standard code base for many years to come, and they won't need Sakurai to oversee it because it'll be pretty straightforward.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that frees him up.
Hopefully he
but
doesn't
we can
retire.
still-
Hopefully he just moves on to greener pastures with some new games.
Yeah. He's such a cool guy.
But yeah, here we go. Moving along right now, we've got Nintendo Switch Online will be released in the second half of September. They're not quite pushing it out of that window, but they're flirting with it.
And they're not setting a date yet.
Yeah,
either.
no dates yet. I think they just sort of reiterated the same, like, hey, like it's going to have, cloud saves. They did show the Switch, just a screenshot of the Switch playing Super Mario Bros. 3.
Whoa.
So it's like, ooh,
My
baby.
stars.
Yeah. We could play online and we could take turns.
Dude, I'm stoked for it. I'm serious.
No, it's gonna be cool.
I
I mean, it's for $20. Like, I don't feel bad paying $20 if to pay the servers and play online and all that stuff. Like, whatever, it's $20.
These are
and
awesome
hopefully
bonuses.
the NES games and the Super NES games, hopefully they live up and they give us a nice added bonus. But
You know what? The only thing I'm worried about is they said, like, one of their tweets or something that, like, the save data for compatible games. Because you can upload your save data for compatible games.
it's probably going to be like all of their games, and I'd imagine all bigger games, but maybe some of the indie games that I don't know. Maybe it's just
I hope that's not what it is.
maybe it's just wording it so they don't, you know what I mean, just in case if something were to crop
like
up.
they're not guaranteeing that it will work on every single thing, because maybe developers could opt out of it, or maybe there's, for third parties, maybe you would have to go back and patch that in. It depends on whether how system level it is, or maybe certain games the save data is formatted in such a way that it's not compatible, and so they would have to go back and kind of adhere to some new standard for Nintendo Switch cloud saves. I mean, that strikes me as just a way out. If somebody complains about it, it's like, well, we don't necessarily guarantee it's supported by every single game, but it might still be. I'm sure they're doing some smart things to try to get this to be adopted widely.
Yeah, it might be
like
sort
with
of similar
their
to
video
like
capture.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say with that, where it's like not every game has it, but like, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now
this next bit of news is pretty funny, because at PAX, I remember us sitting there on the couches, and there's the spare Switch that was offered to my wife Jill to play Dark Souls. She's like, "Hey Jill, you want to play Dark Souls?" And Jill's like, "Nah." She's like, like we're all sitting there, we're thinking about like all of the thousands of people that would have loved to play like Dark Souls on Switch.
They'd murder to be in her
and Jill's
position.
like, declined.
It's kind of a loaded offer, though. I mean, Dark Souls is intimidating and disliked by a lot of people, so it's not necessarily something I would expect someone to just say, oh yeah, Dark Souls. It doesn't even sound that appealing if all you know about is the title.
But the funny thing is, now they're like, well, what if we release it on your birthday? So it's actually my wife's birthday. It's October 19th.
Nice.
So
Is it
really fun?
That's funny.
Well, we know what she's getting.
So I have
Happy birthday.
That's exactly what I was saying. It's the game that you declined.
You're like, let
from
me show you
Nintendo
how it's
themselves."
done, though.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, it's coming out with the Amiibo on October 19th. Finally.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be May.
That's cool, as long as they made it run well. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Just like I was saying earlier with Dead Cells. This game, I'm actually really hoping that they decided, because they were kind of saying that it was only going to run at 30 frames per second, and it sounded like even that wasn't very consistent. So I expect, actually I demand that it run at least at 30 frames constantly. And I would really hope that they've taken this time to optimize it so it can run faster than that. Because in a game like Dark Souls, that frame rate matters, especially the consistency.
Right.
But that game the timing on it is so important. The reactivity to what the enemies are doing and like all the animation syncs, the way that they sync up is just like, you really have to be very precise, and you have to watch the enemies so carefully in order to hit, get attacks in on bosses and stuff. So that game needs to run well. If it doesn't run well, it's not worth doing. It's like the promise of being able to take your games anywhere on the Switch. It's only worthwhile in the sense, up to the point that they actually perform pretty well. So Dark Souls doesn't seem like a game that should be impossible to run on that system. If they have to downgrade the graphics a little bit to make it run smoother, they should.
Yeah, and hopefully the extra 5 months, like you said, it's like, at this point, just take your time. We've waited this long, just get it right instead of, like you said, I don't want to have it where it's all of a sudden, oh, we're working on a patch that'll be out in another 2 months. Well, it's like, well, then you might as well have just waited. It's like, we've come this far.
Yeah, that game is plenty difficult enough without struggling against the hardware. And From Software, they've got a history of these games not running that well, and it seems like with the last 2 or 3 releases, they've really taken it to heart and tried to make sure that it's become like a feature of the game now, that they're really pushing that they run better. Because the original Dark Souls ran very poorly, and especially on the PC, where there's just no excuse for it. And that game had to be modded by fans just to run smoothly. So I think that really showed them, hey, people care about this. You should make these games run well, and especially on the Switch. I'm glad that they've taken the extra time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard through through rumors that I think it was mostly due to online stuff. Because I know that I saw it being played. I filmed Alex Kalafi playing it at PAX, and he said it was played great and fine. So
yeah, I played a very little bit in handheld, and granted, I was sort of thrown into like someone else's, so I didn't know where I was going. But I mean, I was running around, and yeah, it was running fine in handheld. But who knows? Maybe that was just their demo that was running. They polished up, and the rest of it still needed some work. I don't know.
Yeah, but. Yes, but we can move on to this next bit of news, which is Undertale is launching for Switch in September.
Yes, we saw that it was releasing in Japan, and we weren't sure if we were going to be the same time or it was going to be a little later or what the deal was, but now we know in September, and it's got a pretty cool collector's edition, doesn't it, Perry?
Including a 14-karat gold-plated music box locket.
Man, if you ever wanted one of those, it's only $69 away.
That's not bad, huh?
It's fake gold, I tell you.
Johnny, you played Undertale?
I have. I don't think I finished it, which is sad because it's not that long. But I had it on my laptop, and I so rarely play games on my laptop that it's hard to fit that into my lifestyle. So I played it in bits and chunks on planes and stuff like that, in hotel rooms. But yeah, Undertale is very charming, very clever, has a lot of fun artwork and music. So I'm a fan. I'm not a super fan. Don't know if I would pay again. I probably got it on sale on Steam for like $10 when I first bought it, and it's hard to imagine paying $30, much less $69 to play it on Switch.
Yeah.
But if you've not checked it out, I think it's worth checking out. It's really cool, little old school RPG with a lot of more modern ideas about what these games are really about and what you really do in them.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely am planning on getting it. I'll probably be getting the physical, not the collectors, but
yeah, right. Until you're on that order screen and you're like, well, it's only a couple more dollars, and I get a 14-karat gold plate music box locket.
Yeah, okay, you've already sold me, Gibbons.
Yeah,
okay.
Boom.
That's perfect. But what's our next piece of news?
I think you're going to want the sheet music, Perry.
Yeah, that might be good for you. You could do a lot with that.
That's right.
And
I could play.
I have heard music from. I haven't played Undertale either, but I have heard music from it, and it does have a pretty nice soundtrack from what I've heard.
Oh yeah.
But Johnny, what you want to take this next bit of news we have here?
I'd be happy to. Doom Eternal is the sequel to Doom, and it's coming out on the Switch.
Woo!
Yeah. This is really good news.
Yeah, I don't.
I know why they didn't. It's because of Wolfenstein 2. They didn't announce it at E3 because they didn't want people to pass over Wolfenstein 2.
That
makes sense. Also, maybe they wanted to see how Wolfenstein 2 was going to sell on the Switch.
Yeah.
It seems like it's doing pretty well.
I played it. I enjoyed it. I think. I mean, I know for me, it's like I have a newfound respect, I guess, for Bethesda just because it's like, hey, they were on board with the Switch early. You know,
they were on board with the NES early.
Yep, and I could. Yeah.
Where's Waldo?
Yep, good old Waldo. Yeah, that was my punishment for losing E3 bets to Perry. I had to play and do a video review for Where's Waldo, which was made by Bethesda.
Which you didn't really do all the bet.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did.
No, you didn't mention anything about Cook.
Well, I forgot, but then I did the post video, so we got into it.
But
yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed Doom, and Doom Eternal looks really cool. Panic Button is going to be on the. I don't know whether to call it a port or not.
Yeah, well, it's a port because the Switch is definitely not the lead platform. It's not even.
That's true, yeah.
That's probably not even the same code base. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of work that goes into getting this to run on the Switch. But Panic Button, they're the experts at that. So
they must be just loving life right now. Like, we are the guys. You got like a game that you don't think could come to the Switch. Like, bring it to us, you know.
Like, literally, like, the game that I would think would be the hardest thing to port to Switch would be Doom Eternal. Like, you know.
Well, yeah,
like
it looks incredible. And, like, I know, obviously, it's not going to look that incredible on the Switch, but, man, that game, like, I was watching
Doom looks incredible on the Switch, so.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Doom Eternal, like, the real high-res stuff, like, it's like, oh, my goodness. That game looks crazy. But
that's cool, man. I'm excited.
Should be good stuff. Now, I guess the next big thing will it be day and date with the rest of the versions, or are we going to still see that lag behind? I mean, they said. I think I saw a quote that said that they want to treat the Switch as a first-class citizen, as they put it. So hopefully, you know, they're putting obviously Panic Button's already working with them, so hopefully we can get it close to or same date would be pretty cool.
I bet that's their target because they've announced it so early. I mean, this was announced at the time that they showed the first gameplay from Doom Eternal, and it was only announced 2 months ago at E3. So the Switch is like it's kind of on board early on. That seems very promising to me. And yeah, I love the last Doom game. Not really a huge fan of the old school Dooms, but the one I played it on PS4. But the last Doom is so fun, so fast, so over the top,
insane,
really
so arcadey, yeah,
insane.
Yeah, arcadey is a good word for it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think the weapons and the movement is just really fun. I was watching the gameplay video of Doom Eternal, and it looks like they're really going for the mobility, which is, like, to me, the perfect direction to go in for this series because it's so dynamic and chaotic, and you're zipping all over the place. Now you've got like a grapple feature built into the shotgun, so you can shoot a guy and then it drags you across through the air like Link hookshot style. Except you're getting up in a demon's face and punching his head off. And there's a lot of double jumping and stuff like that in the gameplay teasers. So it looks great. The environments have a lot of verticality and lots of secret places. I was surprised at the quality of the level design in the last Doom because there's so many nooks and crannies. They have a really good like Metroid Prime style 3D map. So you can kind of figure out where in this weird big environment, like, oh, there's a little section over there where it doesn't seem like I would need to go, but you go over there and you find like a health upgrade or a new weapon or just a lot of ammo, which is really valuable. That stuff the exploration I wouldn't have thought of as being like a big appeal, but it ended up being one of my favorite things about the game.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing more satisfying than just like yeah, sprinting around like, oh, I'm out of ammo. Let me just freaking chainsaw a few people. Like, they'll explode with ammo. Oh, just flying around. Like, it really does. It just works. It's so fluid.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're listening to it's great.
It's
I'm
so
all
good,
aboard
yeah.
for Doom Eternal.
It's going to be so good. Hopefully you weren't all on board for Steep, because
Nope,
the
definitely
port
not.
I was.
for the Switch has been canceled, and in like the most like nonchalant way of all time. So I guess the official like Steep Twitter posted out something, and then it's just somebody asked like, "Hey, what's up with the Switch version?" And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we decided to stop development for the Switch to focus on bringing new content and challenges to Steep players instead." And it was just like, oh,
okay.
like, yeah, cool, I guess, you know. I mean,
Thanks for the heads up.
I think the writing was on the wall, was clearly written on the wall. Like, there was no mention of it since, but I was holding out. I think it was almost at this point, like joking wanted to play it. Like, I probably would have been like, give me that review. Like, I'll play this game. Because it looked pretty interesting, but yeah, what a unceremonious way to go out. Just a Twitter reply to some random Joe Schmo,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say anybody who was really disappointed by this news has not actually played Steep. Cause,
have you played it?
Yeah, I played at least a demo of it when it came out on the other consoles, and it was shockingly bad. I was actually very much looking forward to it because I love skiing and I love mountains, and I think the idea of a winter sports game where you just kind of open world, go around, do whatever you want, make up your own tricks, find your own tracks.
Yeah, that sounds super
explore
fun.
the mountain. I'm really into that idea, and it's been a long time since somebody really did it well. And yeah, Steep was not fun at all when I played it. I'm sure Ubisoft if they're still adding content, then they must have made it better.
They made a sequel
than that. Yeah, but maybe at this point they're just trying to support whatever fan base they still have. Look forward and figure out how to make a sequel, and at that time they can bring it out to Switch too. It'd be great to have something like this on the Switch, so maybe somebody else will step up and do it instead.
Come on, Nintendo.
They do it.
Bring back 1080.
Steep is maybe right. Yeah, there's lots of other winter sports games I would rather have than Steep.
They're gonna have Ricky Winterborn
Ricky Winterborn.
in it. It has to. Or
I could like that would be
1080
so
characters.
good. I would love Nintendo to bring that back. Like even
Well,
if it wasn't. I mean, like I wouldn't expect necessarily like an open world go. Explore. Literally anywhere kind of thing. Although, like, imagine just like taking the Breath of the Wild engine and just like slapping snow all over it and like, yeah, jump on your shield and go.
It'd be great,
It'd be fun.
but the problem is nobody bought the last 1080. Do you guys remember Avalanche on GameCube?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I bought it.
I mean,
I was like 10.
I rented it. I think I rented it, and I was done with that game in like 90 minutes. It's really lean. There's not much to it at all.
I totally get that, and it's so funny because I used to play that game so much when I was a kid. Because I don't know why. You just play stuff more. But I went back to it a few years ago, and I totally get it. Like there's not a lot there.
Yeah, there's not much in the original
lot of fun with
1080 either.
Right.
But
right.
that
that's all you had.
franchise it deserves another shot for sure.
Totally. Yep.
But yeah, that's gonna bring us to the end of the news here.
Yeah.
Brisk week.
Wow. Yeah, brisk.
But that's okay because we've got
heading-
plenty more to talk about.
That's right. Well, yeah, Yes. So we're gonna get into our show topic now. Then.
Do we want to take a quick little breather?
We can. Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna gaze over the naval.
You pervert. Alrighty, we are back, and if you guys hadn't already known, we probably made a bunch of references already to this point, but episode 100, of course, we're going to look back at some of the good old times. I I know I could see here Perry's picked out a couple episodes to reminisce about, and I guess we could just sort of, just BS. Like I said, the old navel gazing. I know I personally always love listening to, of course I love listening to podcasts or whatever, but just like hearing how it all came to be and sort of like the behind the scenes is always interesting to me. So that's why whenever, was it 300 when you went back into your flooded apartment for the audio?
That would have been I don't think that was an anniversary.
Yeah,
or is that just a rant? Or maybe
just a
you
crazy
guys
thing that happened.
Maybe
that might
that's
have been
something
around
you brought up.
350 because it was about a year later that we did 400 in my new apartment post flood. The week that I was laid off from my job.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Memories.
But 400's when everyone came over, right?
Right. Yeah. That was very, very special. And yeah, that was about a year after the flood. So it's probably maybe 350 is the one you're thinking of. But yeah, I definitely remember salvaging my recorder out from under the water and
like getting shocked or something like.
Yeah, I did get shocked a little bit.
That's just what I remember from that story.
That was from unplugging my phone. My phone was under the water, and I remembered to get it on the way out because it lit up under the water. I could see it light up under the water. So I went to the wall.
That's insane.
It was really dark, and I was standing in like 3.5-4 feet of water, so I went over to the wall and I just like moved my hand down the wall to the outlet because I just moved in and my phone was sitting on the floor charging. And so I went down to the outlet and then followed the power plug out to the phone and then unplugged it. And the phone ended up working for like maybe 15 minutes after that before the battery died from water exposure.
Wow.
I'm surprised it lasted that long.
Didn't someone... it's so funny. I remember like little... Did someone like knock on your window or something?
Yeah.
Is that what... Yeah, okay. Hey, dude,
wake up. You're going to drown.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I guess we could talk about how the podcast started, Case. I mean,
yeah.
Just how me and Casey met. We met through game night on NWR. And even going back further, I think we both were exposed to NWR through searching through podcasts for Nintendo podcasts coming up onto Radio Free Nintendo.
I could think of the exact because for me, how I discovered it was I had just gotten a PS4. I had a Wii U, but I didn't really play it all that much. And I was just like, oh, PS4, like I'm on board. Let's go. And then I was listening to like Podcast Beyond. Then I was like, you know what, like. Let's see what Nintendo, like NVC. I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, this is okay. Like, I wonder what other podcasts are out there. Yeah, then all of a sudden you find Radio Free Nintendo, start listening. I remember because I just started working at, actually the job that is my last day tomorrow. And I remember like, I was like, oh, this podcast, like, this is great. Like, this is perfect for like killing time throughout the day. Cause like I could listen to my headphones at work. So it's like, yeah, I went on the quest. Like, I listened to some recent ones, and I was like, I'm going back to episode 1. And, yeah, it's like I listened to, like, I remember for, like 5 months straight, I would just listen to, like, 3 or 4 episodes a day at work. Just, like, back to back to back.
Yeah, totally. I remember mowing my lawns. I'd always put on Radio Free Nintendo when I mow the lawn. He was the best. And I actually have a funny story when I first listened to Radio Free Nintendo, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. But I could actually tell you if I looked what the first episode was, because I remember the first thing that Jonny said when he welcomed it. It was something like, we are, like you said sarcastically, the most optimistic Nintendo podcast. And I was like... Oh no, it's a bunch of people like this, like, just like totally jaded.
Bunch of negative Nancys.
Negative Nancys, yeah. So, and then, I get to going, and then I hear James Jones, and he's talking how he does, and
you're like, oh no.
And I actually turned the podcast off. I was like, okay, I'm not listening to this. And, but then, later on, I was like, I'll give it a second shot, and then.
The rest was history.
You know,
it
isn't
clicks.
that funny
That's
though?
good.
Like I literally walked away because like, you know, the way I am, like that's just how it was. It was really funny. But I came back and it's one of my favorite podcasts ever. And
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do think I think the show can be, or certainly my style when I was involved in the show, could be harsh sometimes on games in general, and especially on Nintendo and some of the just bizarro things that they do. But I think that speaks to a lot of people because Nintendo, you compare them to other entertainment companies, other corporations that like make products that you buy, the level of intrigue and strangeness that comes with them, and especially because they're Japanese, for me there was always an appeal of they're from another country, their culture is different, their business practices are different. There's just something about Nintendo that's mysterious and perplexing, and like the more you love them, the more you can't really understand what happens. So for me, just like picking that apart and just trying to figure out what are they doing, what is the method to this madness, if any, that was always very appealing. But I mean, I do think that ultimately we were optimistic. Because I mean, we had to be. Like that show, like you mentioned before, that show was forged in the fires of the Wii era, when, you know, I think part of the reason that anybody listened to the show in the early days is that so much of the coverage of Wii was like, you know, super mainstream. It was put together by people who you know didn't have a long history playing games, and it felt like a lot of what we loved about Nintendo was being pushed aside or overlooked because of this other thing that the Wii had turned into. And there were still things being released on Wii. I mean, you know, the Wii launched with a Zelda game. And so there were always things around for those who played it. But, you know, I remember back when the Wii first came out, like people weren't even talking about Twilight Princess that much because because you could bowl with your arm, you know, and it's I wanted to talk about that stuff too. That stuff was new and exciting, and there was a lot to try to wrap your head around it. But also there were all these other experiences to be had on the Wii, and I wanted somebody to talk about it, you know, and I think we met a certain niche that people were looking for. Back then.
And you weren't even at the very beginning, right, Johnny? I mean, like,
right.
You came into it.
Well, I mean, I was in the van when the concept was first pitched to Mike and Evan, so I was there at the beginning, but no, I wasn't on the first episode. I was on.
Right.
I would appear as a guest on some of the early ones, and then eventually, Carl asked me to take it over about episode 80 something. I always forget. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And what was your final episode? So, like, what was your total run as host?
It was about 7 years. The number of episodes, I've never counted it up. It's got to be about 400 episodes.
Not too shabby.
But yeah, that's a rough estimate.
400.
Yep, and a lot of telethons, a lot of PAX panels. It's a big part of my life. So it's been a couple years now since I stepped away from it. You know, I still listen every week, of course. It's wild to think back on just how committed I was to doing the show, and how much time we put into it, and how many great memories. For me, it's like the friendships that we formed over doing the show, and the memories of the games that we played, and the things that we talked about and argued about. It's kind of wild to think that much of my life is recorded, and I could just go back and re-experience it. And it's very weird to go back and listen to old episodes because I'll hear myself talking about a game, or someone else will make a point or start talking about a game, and I'll have a thought that comes in my head, just like my first reaction when they say that, and then I'll hear myself on the old recording just say exactly the thought that just popped into my head, and I'm like, geez, I'm that predictable.
You're like, I still got it.
Yes.
and then sometimes it's painful because I listen to myself and just say, I would never say that now, you know.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
that's the value of having it there, is it's a crazy reminder, a crazy archive of like how much we stay the same and how much we change over the years.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you, especially Johnny, have one of the coolest archives of when way a long time ago, your kind of like audio diary of I think when you went to E3.
Yeah,
it must have been in E3.
That was E3
and
2000.
You have like
my
this
first E3,
crazy, this amazing Southern accent.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I remember listening to that and hearing the raw emotion of you and being like amazed at like how cool that was. I always thought that always stuck out to me when I heard that because you played it on one of the episodes.
Yeah, I dug that out of an old hard drive. I didn't even know I still had that stuff. I'd really forgotten that I'd ever done it.
But it was like the prequel, you know. I mean, it was like
it was podcasting before
he was vlogging
before that was a thing.
Podcasting before iPods were invented. You know, it was just like I recorded that with a little stick mic on my Gateway PC or whatever it was back in 2000. Yeah, it was crazy to find that stuff.
I know.
We said it before, pioneer.
I would say, I would say everyone should go seek that out and listen to. I don't know what episode or how to find that. I'm sure there's an easy way.
Go figure it out.
From all the tagging that we do on NintendoWorldReport.com.
But
just type in Alabama Johnny.
Alabama Johnny, I like it.
If you went to the site and searched for E3 audio diaries or diary, it would probably come up that way.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. There you go. But so
it was game night. We're playing a little.
So it was
Splatoon.
game night. Yeah. And we ended up being the last ones there.
Yeah, I think it was you, me, and Aaron, right?
Probably Aaron. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. But for whatever reason, I was like, all right, we're having a good time here. Let's just keep on playing, and we played what felt like a long time.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, okay, like we'll add on, the Wii U and we do this again sometime. And I think we played Splatoon a few more times, but I think what really solidified us being buddies and sort of realizing we're sort of cut from the same cloth. Was like we played Triforce Heroes and we played we beat that game 100%.
100%.
We got every single costume, all the challenges, and that was easily one of the most fun multiplayer experiences I've ever had.
Absolutely
in games in general,
So we would Skype each other and then play, and then one time you're just like, "Hey, do you want to start a podcast?" And I was like, "Yes!" Well, heck yeah! And I had already done some podcasts with Connectivity, with the Themesters, which Johnny's actually been on. That was a long time ago, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, right? Isn't that crazy? And then I had already done. I had done the theme song for Radio Free Nintendo. A lot of people don't know that, actually. Even Casey didn't know that years into our podcast. He didn't even know that I did. You're like, wait, you do that?
I was like, oh, you did that crappy intro song they changed to? But yeah, because I remember pretty much after hearing RFN and just getting more in tune with, because I'd say my college years were I've always been a big video game and Nintendo fan. My college years were sort of my I had a Wii, I picked up Galaxy, I played the staples, if you will, and then I played a lot of Warcraft and just didn't game as much. So that's why actually it's funny that I'd credit the PS4 for bringing me back into being the big Nintendo nerd I am again now. So it was just listening to these podcasts, I'm like, man, this is something I want to do, but I don't have those friends in real life that are equal, that would want a podcast about video games, So
right.
And
no one does. That's why they're all online usually.
Exactly, yeah. So it was one of those. I'm like, man, I'd love to do it, but I don't have anyone to do it with. And honestly, right now, if I could probably do a solo podcast. I think I probably could, but back then,
it is harder than you think.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, but maybe not for 2 hours. But I think
I've listened to a Radio Free Nintendo episode of just one person.
It's but obviously 2 people is way better. So, or at least multiple people. So that's why when Perry and I started talking, I was like, all right, this guy is just as much of a nerd as I am. You know what I mean? So it's
as much of a loser nerd as me.
I found an equal.
So, Yep. And yeah, it was like that. And then we asked Neil, hey, because I was thinking, we're talking to Neil, hey, could we host a new podcast on the site? And he's like, heck yeah.
And it's
Neil has
funny.
never said no to a podcast.
Yeah.
But we weren't even on staff. We were just two schmoes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think I would have asked Neil. I'm glad you did. So,
Yeah.
like, I probably would have been
Fortunately,
like, we better get a couple episodes up on SoundCloud before we do anything. But it worked out well because that obviously sort of gives us a leg up on like an install base. Just because obviously NWR fans are great and they're gonna, if there's new podcasts coming out. Chances are they're going to at least give it a chance, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, we can't just start from nothing. That was my whole thing. It's like we got to have some sort of push at the beginning just to get people to listen. So, and I remember it's so crazy how it's like almost 2 years ago, but we had Andy Gergen helped us set up the feed and everything.
Yep.
So thank you to him, and we got that all figured out, and boom, we were going, and we started off, and amazingly, our friend Estuardo, he texted me like yesterday or a couple days ago. He listened to our first episode, and he's like, "It's crazy because you guys are exactly the same." And I was like, I was really surprised with that because I thought we would have been different. I don't know. I thought like maybe our style more comfortable with the podcast and stuff. But he said, "Hey, pretty much the same thing." So
it's because we had
All
that
right.
test run, man, that dry run.
That's right. It's true. So yeah, so we recorded our first one. It got killed by lightning, and then we started. We did it again like a couple days later or the next day.
Yeah, I think we did.
We started
the
the
next day.
podcast every other week. It was an every other week thing because we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't want to
That's a good way to start.
It lasted
Yeah.
like one cycle before it went.
I think it was like a good 4 episodes. I think we could check on that, but 4.5 episode because here's the thing, because then we thought let's do half episodes. If we want, we could do half episodes, right? So we had episode 4.5, which was in between that 2-week cycle, which was.
So what you're telling me, this isn't the real episode 100. It's fraudulent.
No, it's numbered. it's the real one. But we had 4.5. That was the Switch reveal special, where I remember it was just a quick little thing, right?
Yeah,
a
because
little half-hour thing.
I remember the tweet or whatever news came out that they were like, "Hey, tomorrow we're going to release tell you what's up." And I remember being so excited. I just like texted my manager. I was like, "Can I come in a few hours late tomorrow?" Because and I was like,
because I'm a big nerd,
I was like, because I'm a big nerd, and Nintendo is
like this really means a lot to me.
I seriously laid it all on the line. I was like, I'm a big loser, and I need to see this, please.
Wow.
And they did that, and I remember staying, and we got it, and we recorded our direct reactions to the Switch reveal. And it was like we didn't even talk to each other. We just recorded right after, and then he had to go right to.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I know, but it's like obviously we want to talk about everything, so that was fun. Fast forward to episode 23.5. That was around the time where we became on staff, like a week or like 2 weeks. I want to say a week before PAX.
Yeah, it was, and that was right. PAX was a week after the Switch came out too. So it was like, we got on staff like a week or so before the Switch came out, and then it was just a whirlwind. So it was like, oh my god,
right.
like this is
like I had like 4 reviews of Switch games, and then we went there and we did tons of interviews, with a woman that knew you, Johnny.
Oh my god, what was her name?
And I can't remember her name now, but she worked at Nintendo with Perrin Kaplan.
Oh, okay.
And she like totally knew you and Billy Berghammer, from Planet GameCube and from Nintendo World Report, actually from both. But that was like we just learned who she was, like, and we're like, hey, you want to have like an interview? And that's on our podcast feed actually, on our PAX ones. And that was a lot of fun, and we just totally.
And that was the first time we ever met.
Yeah. So we met in old Boston,
Oh, that's a magical
And-
time.
where everybody knows your name.
Meet
Yeah,
your
it
podcast
was-
buddies at PAX.
Oh yeah,
Very special.
Yeah, and it totally is. Yeah, totally. And it's weird, and like you see their faces, and it's like, that is not how I thought your face looked.
I was
You know, like, I
expecting
knew how your
something a
face
little
looked,
nicer.
But now I'm watching it like in motion, and like you look like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
yeah, you're used to staring at just a screen, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
It
and
is
I
much
remember
like
it
the
was,
moment when King K. Rool becomes a 3D character in Smash Brothers, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, I wouldn't have thought that he would look like that from the back. Huh. Okay.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
his belly
Have you-
was so big and gold.
Have you seen that picture of him at the supermarket picking out cereal?
No,
Of that with the pose that he has for Smash.
no, I have to check
It's
that
really
out.
funny. We'll have to check that out. But yeah, so then with PAX. PAX was crazy. It was super fun. Fast forward to episode 31, we did a cross radio trivia with TYP, with Michael TYP Cole.
I think I listened to that one.
which was so much
That
fun.
was one of my favorite episodes because radio trivia. I'll say it to the day I die. It's the best podcast on the internet. So good. TYP does such a great job. I mean, I know obviously far and few between at this point since he's got a lot going on and just life in general. But whenever a new one releases, it's always a treat. So
Yeah, we have to bug him again to do it
yeah,
again.
so to be able to have him come on the show is really awesome. And yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
I bet you
huge fans.
I bet you he probably would like that because it's less legwork for him.
Yeah, that's the thing is we kind of produced it for him, you know, and he was like the guest. But we all had our own game, and we all played it for each other. And definitely, Johnny, best trivia was when you did all the games for him that one time,
Oh,
or maybe you
well,
did it a couple times.
yeah,
that was
it's been
so much
It's been a
fun
long
listening
time
to
ago since I did it last. I really should probably put that together again. You know what? TYP
Yeah,
and I
do it.
live only just a couple miles away from each other. We still hardly ever hang out because we're so busy.
That is such a dang shame, dude. That is, but that's how
well,
I
he's
get it.
and
That's
he's got
just
a
life.
baby, right? So I think as this kid
Yeah.
gets older, it'll be a little bit easier. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we should set something up soon and do that. It is a lot of fun, although it's always a good reminder just how much work it is to put it all together.
Oh my goodness,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun to anytime you get to play radio trivia, even when you play along from home. You know, just listening to
Yeah.
the show, it's awesome.
It is awesome.
And it's crazy to think that was episode 31. Like that one
know,
really
I
doesn't
know.
feel like it was that long ago, but
I know, but it's 70 episodes ago. And then I know that's what's crazy to me. Fast forward to episode 61, 30 episodes later. We had our Thanksgiving episode where we talked about games we're thankful for, and I thought that was great. That was like our little. We love our Hollywood, you know, like when we get during the month of December, we have our little jingle bells and our theme song and
Yeah,
everything. We love our
we get
holiday
festive
songs.
with it.
We get festive. We're a festive bunch. I put in here episode 76. We have Sergeant Dever's Lonely Wolf Cub Band. I put that in there because that was kind of. I know Johnny always used to put Beatles references in his titles, so I thought he'd like that. That was that Joe Devers
Yeah, I remember that game.
Lonesome Wolf or
Yeah.
Lone Wolf or something. Anyway, then yeah, episode 80 back in, which seems like just happened, right? We were in Boston, like I said, for PAX again.
Yeah, but then again, you think about
And,
it. Was that 4 months ago? At 5 months ago?
No.
Was it? I don't even remember.
No, it was in April, May.
Yeah, so 4 months ago.
Oh my goodness, dude, that's insane. So, yeah, so that was a lot of fun. We had a whole different experience. We were literally right across the street. Well, not literally, but we were not even a block away from Cheers, which was great. And we were like walking like the couple days that. Oh my goodness, it's right there. Like you could see it from our window if the tree wasn't in the way.
Yeah, no, that was good. And then that was for me too. It turns out you could have been on the panel, but that was the first panel I was ever part of at PAX, which was surreal. Because it's funny. Because for me, the first time I went to PAX is 2015, and that was really like the first time I'd like really experienced anything like what like a big video game convention could be, you know, like And I just remember I was like, man, it's like I need to like get involved with this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I need to like, and I remember it's like I just need to start writing and doing things, and like it took a little longer than that initially, but then when I stopped to think about it, it was like 3 years later I was on a panel, so it's like pretty surreal to sort of see how, especially like just beginning the podcast is sort of snowballed into much more with, like I said, reviews, going to events, having all these crazy, awesome developers on here to talk to us about their games, which is just like, it's like sort of like mind-boggling, you know, like
I know.
that it's like, oh, we get to do all this stuff just because we come and ramble about Nintendo for a couple hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly everything you've said. So now, I mean, and we have some really fun things that I can't wait to talk about with everyone on the podcast soon. I've been teasing stuff for a long time, but it's just because it's not ready yet. But we have so much fun, cool news to share. And just got news today of some other really cool stuff from other staff that I'm super pumped for, that I can't wait to talk about. And it's all branching off of, you know, of our relationships and our exactly from what this podcast has done. And it's amazing. I mean, Jonny, talk about the difference in your life that your podcast has made for you, you know. I mean, it's crazy to see the fruit that has come from this podcast already just in the 2 years we've done this. Unbelievable. Like it seems impossible.
Yeah, so I'm not even surprised. You know, I mean, the whole philosophy of our website, not just the podcast that we put out, but the whole website, is that when people get together and cooperate to do something that they have a mutual appreciation for, good things will happen. You know, and that's been true for now almost 20 years of Nintendo World Report. So yeah, when fans get together and they decide to be constructive and do something with their passion and learn new skills and try to make things and put out something that's high quality, only good things can happen from that. And you guys are a great example.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Yes. 100% agree. Last thing I wanted to mention about the episodes here. Episode 86, not too long ago. Something smells funky in the garage. That was our episode where we talked about garage and Funky Kong, and I thought that was really good. And I asked our good friend Dan Vella, good old Dan, what he thought. If I was so proud of that title because I thought it was so funny. I was like, "Isn't that funny?" And he's like, "It's not that funny." I was like, "What?"
My favorite title
I thought it was so good.
is definitely I don't know what episode it was. It was early one when we did our first I Demand You. And I demanded that you play...
Aaron came up with it.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Yep.
Arkham City, and it was Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah. Yep.
And what was the combo, the name?
The chimp that Gotham needs.
Yeah, okay.
That's good.
Yeah, that was by far my favorite title.
I know, so good. And our second episode, Mighty number $9, because that was when I got it for $9.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
That's pretty good.
At Target.
Hey, it is really fun and challenging to write one-liners, and that's pretty much what podcast episode titles are. So
yep,
I loved writing those on RFN. I did it for a long time, and I've enjoyed that kind of writing for a long time. It's like coming up with a slogan or just like a
what sums this
pithy
episode
name
up?
that describes or captures some aspect of something. It's a really good exercise as a writer. And for a long time, like the RFN articles, the headlines, all that stuff was like one of the only outlets that I had for writing, because I didn't really have time to do reviews and editorials and long form stuff like that. So just to get a chance to put some words together and do it in a way that at least I found amusing, and then maybe some other people will too.
Right.
That's I cherish that kind of stuff, because it's in your daily life. How often do you get to sit around? I don't get to sit around at work and think of funny things, So
right.
It's a delight to get to do that in your free time.
Heck yeah, dude. It's exactly. So, yes. So I thought Casey and I thought it'd be really good to just dedicate a little time here at the very end to thank the people that we've met and that we've.
I thought you were gonna go. It's very important that we take a little bit of time here to talk about the origins.
Origin of the Jim Brony.
Of Jim Brony, yes. Actually, we do need to do that before we thank people.
That was pretty good. So I guess there was a point in time where I was just calling people jabronis a lot. And Perry's wife Jill.
While you're playing, like you'd always say, like
what's this
to
jabroni
people.
doing? You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jill, my wife Jill, we play ARMS. That was a big game that we all played together. She loves ARMS, loves to play co-op online. And she got pretty good at it, like really good at it. And there was one time where she says she wanted to say jabroni too, but it came out Jim Brony, like, hey, you Jim Brony, and then we just lost it because immediately a new character named Jim Brony, this loser guy that we just came up with, and then Jimmy was the word that we took from that, and now we use that as an adjective.
Yeah, it's like that's a jerk, you know. Like, who's this Jimbo?
Yeah. So and then Jimbot and Jimbo. So it was all from Jill from ARMS, and I'll never forget.
Thank goodness for
if
Jill.
You ever hear, yeah.
But yeah, I think before the thank yous, like. I was going to say, what's the one thing you're most proud of throughout the podcast? Is there one thing that's like, that you hold on to, you know? Like with it, I mean, I can give you my example.
Like, what do you mean? Yeah.
Part two, what's the thing you're most ashamed of?
Ooh, okay. I'll answer mine first and then think about that.
No, you don't have to answer that part.
I'm ashamed that I have to work with Perry once a week.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's just that we've never missed an episode since we've gone weekly. We have never missed an episode, and like that's one thing, you know. I like that's I'm proud of that. You know, like I'm proud that no matter what, like there have been times where like we can't record on our normal schedule date, and we were able to work around it. And I mean, obviously, honestly, if you look back, we've released more episodes than weeks since we've gone weekly. You know, like because with PAX and other or like you said, like the special episodes
Shorts
that sort of come up. So that's definitely one of my, like, what I find, you know, I'm most proud of. And that's something, like, I hope we never break. And, I mean, eventually at some point, something's got to give, right? You'd think. But
nope.
Over my dead body.
Yeah. My body's going to break. That's the only thing. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but I actually do have a specific instance that I don't know if it's my most proud, but it's one of my moments that I fought through it to make it happen, which is on our show, I like to make jingles, right? Everyone knows. I should actually post the image of a screenshot of my folder of jingles that I use for the show.
100 gigs.
Yeah, my jingle folder. Yeah. And, one of my favorite times is when we came up with the Villa Day discount.
Oh, yes.
And it started off with and I'll put it in
you'll have
here,
to insert it.
Okay. But it started off with Discountville, and it was, and I'll play it right now.
Discountville.
This bluesy hard rock, like radio Discountville, like that kind of a thing. And then it went to, we were just naturally talking, and Casey was like, how about the Discount Villa?
Please enjoy your stay at the Discount Villa.
Like, and then I made the Caribbean style Discount Villa. And then,
but then it all came
we
together.
Laughed about it. And then Casey, who has no respect for my time, says, can we call it Villa Day Discount? Like, after we were all talking. So then I made another one for Villa Day Discount.
Oh, no.
Villa Day Discount! Villa Day Discount!
Which is, you know, the same.
It's so good, though.
Continues
it. Is
and
so
anyway,
good.
That little interaction there, that little 2 minutes, and I remember going like, I remember like being like, I do not want to do this, but I'm like, I have to do this. Like it would be a criminal thing to not put in this.
Like you said, that
how
2 minutes took like 4 or 5 hours to produce.
Right.
Oh yeah.
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 I went through the same thought process about halfway through editing Regulate with Lindemann and myself doing Regulate. I hope no one really remembers that, but yeah, that was also
Can
like
you explain what that is?
a gag that took many hours to put together.
Oh!
Yeah,
the,
it's a
the
song
rap.
by Warren G and Nate Dogg. I don't know
Gotcha.
if you're familiar with their oeuvre, but yeah, so it's a classic jam, and John and I performed it.
That was
sort of,
amazing.
and
Totally worth it.
Yeah, it was very stupid.
Exactly.
So good.
Exactly. So yeah, you get it. But yeah, as far as shameful, which I know, like I'm so proud of everything we've done.
Yeah, that was a
I
joke.
have no
Please,
shame.
you don't have to go there.
No, that's okay. I'm trying to think if anything. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. Casey's like, I got a bucket
Yeah,
load.
let me tell you. No, do we have time?
but,
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think we've really done anything too bad that would be shameful. But Perry's got one.
Casey, our Dirty Rotten Scalpers.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So Johnny, we had this episode
this was early
where we
too.
talked about, this is like episode like 8 or something, and we had an episode where we talked about scalping, and like what it is to scalp. Like, what is the definition of scalping? Have we ever done it? Have we ever been a part, like
In the
been
Blood
victim?
Meridian sense, like Wild West.
No, like for instance, I think it was because of
I think it was Amiibo or
remember.
something.
Amiibo.
NES Classic.
Basically, I talked
maybe.
about.
Oh, it's probably the classic.
I talked about.
It might have been the classic.
It could have been that, but I talked about how I had bought a Villager amiibo, and then I listened to Connectivity, and Alex Kalafi said that he would buy a Duck Hut amiibo for $100, and he was being serious. And I was like, I was listening to that, and I didn't realize about this amiibo thing, like that it was like
The craze.
I was like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I looked online, and I was like, what? Villager amiibos are selling for $100 on Amazon right now. I was like, forget this. Like, I am posting my amiibo right now. Like, if it's gonna sell for $100,
Sure.
It's like, I don't care.
That's not
So I
scalping,
posted
though.
it.
That's
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, if you
exactly.
purchase like 30
Right.
of them.
Right. I didn't purchase it with the intent to sell, but I sold it when like the market was high. You know what I mean?
yeah. Scalping is an
But that's-
interception of the means of distribution.
Exactly. But we call it anyway. That was literally the story I had, and then after that we had comments.
Well, we just
and,
got
like,
one real bad review.
1-star reviews. No, but we also have people commenting on the article, which you can go back I think and read. And it was just like, oh, I like this podcast until they were jerks, talked about scalping.
Until they
and,
were
like,
ripping people
sticking it.
off.
Yeah, and I was like, what? You know, like, what? You know, I thought that was really funny. But it was kind of a blow at the time, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
well
I'm sure
at that point it was I think episode. Can I see here? Did we have?
I think it was 8. I want to say.
Yeah,
it was
it
around
was early. So
7.
yeah, at that point we're like, oh no. We're like,
Right.
This is getting off
like,
on
we
a
don't
bad
want-
foot, but
It was episode 7.
yeah.
Anyway, and not that I don't take. It was just like that taught me a lot about how the public can perceive you, and how you have to be careful.
Oh yeah, people will misinterpret what you say on the podcast,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it'll happen pretty much every week. So
Yep, it sure does.
it's
It absolutely
frustrating,
does.
but you kind of have to let it go in a lot of
Oh,
cases.
yeah.
I mean, you know, there's a certain comfort in that you're here all the time, and so yeah, maybe there's always a chance for someone to come back and like give you another chance. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so you
Exactly.
can't worry about it too much.
And like I said, he did leave like
Exactly.
the first half of the review was booming. You know, it was like, oh wow, he's really enjoying it, and then, but yeah, like you said, he can't please them all. You know, it happens. So
Yeah.
but we do have
But-
a few people that we do seem to please.
Yes, we do. And I kind of have this separated into people, our fans, our our community that we've been able to meet and be a part of, our people that our devs that we've met and become friends with on the show and interviewed, and then our staff. So yeah, this is in no order. of importance. And also, I need to say, I racked my brain for hours today trying to make sure I didn't forget anyone that isn't. But I am like, I know there's going to be someone that's like, I can't believe we didn't thank them. So
I'm
please,
writing them
if you're
a bad
listening,
review.
yeah, if you're listening, like, please don't be offended if you're not mentioned, and I will try to think of more. But anyway, I
Edit them in later.
Yeah, I'll edit them in. What are you talking about? You were in there, and like we go back in. Yeah. First off, Grills Von Sizzle.
Yes.
You're the man. You're awesome. We're gonna talk about you in a little bit.
We got
Estuardo Centeno. Yes. He is our Mexican brother. He's our representation in Mexico.
Good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
It's a good place to know a guy.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. John Barlow over in Australia. You are hilarious. You send me hilarious emails.
Oh yeah, they're so good.
And I love reading them. He's a comedian, and he's literally a comedian. And he's really funny.
You got Big Gary Croxford, who we haven't heard from him.
One of our original
here and there,
fans.
but a good man, a Canadian, or a UK man in Canada.
Yeah, I think he's exactly. Good old Dan Vella. We played through Metroid Prime Federation Force before we started the podcast. He's been there the whole time. He's a good guy. We play games with him all the time. Thank you, Dan. And then the next Dan, Daniel Malupo, frequent commenter, and he emails us and keeps us updated. Really cool guy.
Yep, Joseph Ladeau. I think I said that right. He actually,
Or Ladeau.
we met, obviously on Twitter, we talked back and forth, but we got a chance to meet him at PAX East, which was awesome.
Yep, and he told us that he'd listened to every single episode. So thanks, man. You are our biggest fan.
I've met Joseph a few times at PAX.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. Also, Jonathan Boyden, thank you so much for your emails and just, you're chiming in and everything. And of course,
Good old
can't forget Lemonade, our good old friend from Down Under, who we play with a lot. And yes, Eric Mitchell, Ryan Tuominen, and Nathan Sherwinski, Nick Herbst, Peter Garcia, and Nathan Jester, all people that have written in and talked with us, emails, and have spawned discussions on the podcast for our mailbag episodes and everything, and really appreciate you guys.
Yep. We've got Colin Harris. We've got good old Average Josh, big King of the Hill fan. We got GX over on Patreon. I do the Patreon Plays podcast with him just about every other month. Alex Osborne, who is working over at IGN. We've had him a couple times on.
He used to be on NWR, I believe.
Yep, yeah, I believe he was a staffer for a while.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Interesting.
You got Dan from Canada, who I know he's been around for a long time too. And of course, Mr. Panda, Alex,
yes,
who is the man.
Yes, and I just recently talked to him. We're gonna have him on soon. Yep, and then you can't forget Cassie Gibbons.
Yes.
our newest fan.
Yeah, a parody account.
That's a good
I
one.
guess I should be flattered, I guess.
Yep. So Johnny, when Casey, when he graduated from high school, the guy,
Mr.
who
Yanni,
knew him,
that son
that
of
piece
a
of crap, Diddley.
son of a diddly, yes.
Yeah, he said Cassie Gibbons.
My mom was
At your
he
high
handed him
school
his
graduation?
Yeah.
That's rough.
my mom was
That's
mortified.
Yeah.
But even what Casey should be shameful for is at his college graduation,
I dropped the ball.
he had the perfect opportunity to do it again.
Yeah.
And to have him say it and mortify his mom again, but he didn't.
You asked me something I'm shameful of. It might not be related to the podcast, but dropping the ball on that, it's like
yeah.
the second I told him Casey Gibson, I was like, shit. I was like, I ruined it. I ruined it.
And then you have to and you would have to have someone take a picture.
Oh, it
of
would
your
have been
mom's face.
so good. It's
Yeah.
I regret it every day.
Now, and like I said, please
Yeah, of course
There's so many others.
we thank everyone that
too.
listens. Seriously, I mean, whether
Yeah.
you chime in on Twitter, you write in emails, or you download and listen to an episode every week, or even if you listen infrequently, it's like anyone who's ever
Or
downloaded.
even if you listen to one episode and then you give us a 1-star review and say that we're dirty jerks.
And you know what? I even appreciate that guy. It's because, like, you know what?
No,
he
I
gave
do, yeah.
Seriously, anyone, like, we come here and talk about Nintendo because that's what we like to do. And honestly, if no one listened, we would probably still be doing this. So it's like, it's still, like, surreal that people listen to this every week and they love to talk to us. And, like I said, even if you don't hit us up on Twitter or whatever, it's like, we appreciate everyone, seriously.
Absolutely. Getting on to our dev friends. Of course, we had him on last week. Our good friend Jules Watchum of Atui. Good friend, cool guy, makes
Love
awesome
Jules.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jules is on. Oh, and he coined a phrase for you, Johnny.
For me.
Last week.
Oh.
Yeah, you're the pod father.
Oh yeah, I heard that part. Yeah,
Yep.
I've used that term for Garnet Lee from One Up Yours, and then Ricky Gervais also, one of the early big time podcasters. So yeah, I don't deserve that mantle, but I appreciate the thought.
Oh, pish tosh. But anyway, moving on. We have Martino Vullums of Endhorn. Of course, the Spirit Sphere. And he's a listener too, which we really appreciate it, dude.
Good old Martino.
And then, yep, of course, you can't mention Endhorn Games without Fabraz, which we have Fabian Rastfer, Edgar Castro, and Neb Biller.
Old Biller.
Or excuse me, Ben Miller.
Billum.
And, yep, Slimeson. Heck yeah.
Yep, then we got Ian Lewis and Lindsay Wells of Giant Margarita from Australia,
Party
I believe,
Golf.
right?
Yes. Yep.
Then we also have Jason Cirillo of Choice Provisions with Hey Dave and
Space
Whoa Dave
Dave.
and... Oh, yeah, Space Dave. That's one.
Did you say Hey,
Hey
Dave?
Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Space Dave is
Space
a great
Dave.
game, by the way.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we have a great interview with him about Space Dave. Yeah. And then Mick Waits of Four Horses, not too long ago. Games you all need to get, Kid Trip and Miles and Kilo. Amazing
And
games.
speaking of which, since we didn't do the YouTube Saloon, Kid Trip Challenge is up on YouTube.
There you go.
We also have Chris Miller and Tyler Tomaseski of Poly Night Games.
Yeah, we interviewed them for Inner Space, which is... Johnny, you played that?
No.
Ooh, it's a Johnny game for sure.
Okay.
Check out Inner Space.
Inner Space on the Switch.
Yep,
All right.
yep. It's also on everything else too, but they also have been updating it too with some cool stuff. So, yes, of course, Alexandra Dahlberg of Zoink. Met her multiple times. Had her on the podcast multiple times.
Yeah, she's super
thank you
cool.
so much.
We met her at PAX a couple times and got to interview her.
Yep. And then I think one of the best interviews of any podcast ever was with Thomas O'Connor of Play Everywhere, who he's the one that ported Elliot Quest to Wii U and to 3DS
And his
Switch.
beautiful pooch.
And Johnny interviewed it. We called him, and he's like, yeah, he didn't exactly know what was going on, but he did the whole podcast while walking his dog in the park.
That's great.
I
love it.
remember
So good.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was like, oh crap, this is gonna be so bad, like we're gonna lose him, and yeah, it's great though.
I love podcasting in the wild.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And the birds are chirping, and you can hear the planes like fly. It was awesome, dude. It was so good. Of course, Rupert Oshner of Bonus Level Entertainment, Fox and Forest. Love that game. Just interviewed him a few weeks ago. Awesome guy. Thank you, Rupert. And then Casey technically did meet him. I didn't meet him, but
Good old Reggie.
of course Reggie Fils-Aimé for being so freaking awesome. I love Reggie Fils-Aimé. Johnny, have you met Reggie?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I've met Reggie a few
I
times.
knew you have.
He is fantastic.
The Axiom Verge moment.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think
That was so good.
They may not let me near him after that, but that was I think the most recent time I met Reggie.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Just to sum it up for everyone in case they're interested, you were at, it was at E3?
This was at E3, yeah, before
Yeah, at
Axiom
E3,
Verge came out.
and you were by the game, and Reggie came up and he said, "Oh, this looks like Metroid," or right, or is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said the equivalent of "someone's got to make it" or something like that, right?
Yeah. He Reggie came over, and there was something weird about his tone of voice, and he sounds like, "Wow, this sure looks a lot like Metroid." And I had been playing it, and I was already in love with the game just from playing the demo, talking to Tom. I was like, this is incredible. And the whole time I'm thinking, I wish Nintendo would make something like this, because the magic is still there, you know? And so, Reggie came over, and I think he was trying to do like a friendly intro because he figured the developer would recognize him. But he was like, hey, this looks kind of like Metroid. I was like, well, somebody's got to make it. It might as well be him. Because this was in the extreme Metroid drought of this decade. So
which is definitely no more.
Yes, thankfully.
The tides are changing.
Thankfully so.
So good though, but
I take full credit. I believe I shamed Reggie into telling Japan, you guys got to make some Metroid games.
Yes, I'll give you the credit.
Thank you. Yeah, not only is he's the Podfather, but he's also getting games made.
Yeah,
he's the Metroid man.
Hardly.
Johnny the Metroid Man Metts, which is
Johnny
so
Johnny
good
Metroid.
You love Metroid, and it's Metsroid. I can't believe I've never heard that. Anyway,
now we got a bunch of staffers.
with our staff. Yeah, I'm just like kind of like really stressed out because I feel like we're gonna forget someone.
But I mean, everyone on staff obviously, but you know,
everyone on staff has been.
Yeah, we got to give big shout outs to our boy David Lloyd, of course. The Bivs.
Yes, he's helped us so much every week almost. He helps us. So,
he's great.
Yes.
The Bivs.
Thank you, Steve.
You got Justin Nation, who is just the craziest SOB in the world. I don't know how he does all.
Johnny, one of my favorite things is that Justin Nation was kind of like a legend of RFN. Like, he's just one of those people that you always talked about, like back in the good old days of Justin Nation, you know? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, right? And I always thought it was so funny that, like, fast forward to 5 years where I talked to him like every day, and I met him at PAX. It's just the weirdest thing.
I remember when I met him at PAX, it was so funny because I've seen like his avatar picture, which is a picture of him,
right?
But it's so not representative of like his normal look. So like when he came over, he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, like, hey man, like, how's it going? You know, like, and he's like, it's me, it's Justin. And I'm like, oh, Justin Nation.
I was
like,
the same thing. I was the same way. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're a real person.
Reviewing like 35
so
games
much,
a
man,
week.
for everything.
He's a madman.
Justin is just one of the best
good
people ever, and I've known him for coming up on 2 decades.
Yeah,
that's insane.
He really is
still
an awesome
doing it.
Dude.
And
I know
the work output that guy has is, I can't even understand it. I mean, it's always been that way, but it's amazing.
Like it's good to know Justin, because literally any game you could think of coming to the Switch, it's like if you need a quick opinion on it, just ask Justin.
Well, that's why I named him the Nindersect, because he's the Nindy intersect from Chuck, so it's so good. But yes, of course, Neil Ronahan coming on the show, been super supportive
Invited
of us.
us to the site,
guy.
Of course.
Invite us to the site, yeah. Andy Gergen, of course, which he's kind of, I think he's semi-retired, but you know,
he was integral of getting this whole thing off the ground. So
yes. And then of course Alex Kalafi, good friend of the show, been on a few times, and he's helped us a lot. He was our tour guide.
Yeah.
in Boston.
He brought us to Jimmy Jones.
Of course, Jim Jones.
Old Jimmy Jones
of Radio Free. Yep. And I love saying was it Greg, John, Jim, and Bill.
Bill.
I always thought that was so funny. Yeah.
I just picture Perry
so
sitting in his room
Bill.
listening to RFN, like giggling. Here's Bill.
I was laughing because I think it's so funny to say Guillaume for Bill. And then so both James and Guillaume invited us onto RFN, and James has been on the show. And then Michael TYP Cole, of course, which we talked before. John Reardon for helping us with a lot of stuff, E3 during everything, and of course, can't make it without thanking
Donald.
good old Donald Terrio,
Yes.
which has helped us many ways, and he was on our on the telethon, which we got to do last
Oh yeah, that
year,
was awesome
which was
too.
so much fun, which should be coming up soon. And like again, of course, I'm gonna say it again. There's no way we can thank everyone, but anyway, thank you so much. And then again, it all comes down to Jonny Metts. Thank you, Jonny
Yes.
Metts, for everything you've done.
You're very
'Cause
welcome.
None of this would have been. None of this would have happened.
We'd never have a Metroid game or a podcast.
Yeah, it's true.
That's sweet, and I'm really honored to be here with you guys to celebrate this. It's a wonderful achievement, and
Thank you.
You do a great job. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, now that we've got all those thanks out of the way, now let us say thank you by giving away a couple items here. We've got some games and some eShop money to give away. We have a copy of Minute, which we talked about last week. Of course, the Zelda-like when you have 60 seconds to keep pushing on. We also have Hollow Knight, which was generously supplied to us
Sponsored
by Grizzle Von
Yeah.
Sizzle. Of course, he's this is the second time he's supplied us with some giveaway stuff, so a big thank you to him. He loved the game so much he wanted us to give a copy away so someone else can play. And the DLC is upcoming soon as well, so we could sort of good timing to get you a code of Hollow Knight, and then you can sort of keep on steaming along to the DLC. Now, what we're gonna do is we'll have all that information up on exactly how to enter. It's gonna be sort of our standard, follow, retweet, like for chances to enter, and then we'll have another way to enter. I don't know it yet. It's gonna be a surprise. But you'll have to tweet us something maybe along the lines of maybe what your favorite segment or what you might want to see us do. But we'll have all that information right over on Twitter at Talk Nintendo Pod. That's Talk Nintendo
POD.
Boom boom. Now, of course, a huge thank you to Jonny again for joining us. If you have any wares you'd like to pimp, now would be the time.
Well, I can pimp Box Office Poison. It's a movie podcast that I'm still doing with my old buddies from the RFN early days, Carl and John Rend over there, and we have guests sometimes too. Sometimes our old buddies Mike and Stan. So yeah, it's video game nerds talking about movies, mostly comic book movies. It seems like just because there's so many of them. But we do that once a month. It's on crosstalk.com. That's CROSSTAWK.com, or look it up on iTunes. If you subscribe to Crosstalk, you'll get Box Office Poison and a few other shows too.
Awesome. Perfect. We forgot to mention one little thing, which is this is for all the listeners, not necessarily just all of our Twitter followers, but Craigslist giveaway, which I have a stockpile of things. I do this every so often. It's another contest. The way to do it is you're going to send in an audio or video, whatever you want, of yourself of saying your favorite cola, so Pepsi or Coke, because we have our little rivalry going on here with me and Casey. So that's our little only for our listeners. It's a secret thing. It won't be mentioned outside of this.
Can I enter?
You absolutely can.
You should Dr. Pepper.
That's not a cola. That's a spicy cherry soda.
That's not a cola.
It's not. That's a spicy cherry soda, like Mr. Pibb.
Dr. Pepper is my favorite Coke, and you cannot prove me wrong.
If you had to pick between Coke or Pepsi,
Come on, Johnny.
Dr. Pepper.
Oh man. Okay.
All right, we know
All
who's
right.
not winning the Craigslist giveaway.
I mean, look, I like a good Coke, but my favorite Coke is Dr. Pepper.
Oh, he's a Coke guy. He's a Coke guy.
No, but where I'm from,
Yeah.
they're all Coke.
That's fine. That still counts. So what you're saying is the people you come from are very smart.
Well, they invented Coca-Cola, so yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. Perfect. Well, put another one in the books, Case.
Nope. Not validated.
Anyway, Jonny, thank you for coming on this extremely long podcast, and thank you just for everything you've done. And yes, check out his podcast, Box Office Poison, at crosstalk.com and on iTunes. And of course, if you want to have a lot of fun, you can look up all the reviews he's written for NintendoWorldReport.com.
If you like reading about games in the early 2000s.
Yep.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Jonny Metts, no H, no Z.
Boom.
Yep. And 2 T's, right?
Yeah.
2 T's, yeah. But it aren't like the Mets, like METS.
No, it's not the crappy baseball team.
Not the crappy baseball team. All right. Thank you, everyone. Here's to 100 more episodes.
I'm a big loser, and I need to see this, please.
I mean, look, I like a good Coke.
Just type in Alabama Johnny.
I was like, oh, you did that crappy intro song they changed to?
Origin of the Jim Brony.
Hey, you better get out of there.
I love podcasting in the wild.
Hello.
Dude, wake up. You're going to drown.
Ricky Winterboard.
Oh, my stars.
You got a virtual board chicken leg? News section.
And actually, that's going to do it for this week's eShop Roundup. I was, setting it up for you.
Well, see, put it aside. I never know if I should be saying it or if, like, we want to have the jingle ring. Or,
no, I hear you.
Or if, like, you want, like, because I'm like, do I say eShop Roundup and then he just cuts in the jingle?
Dang
or
it,
is
Casey. Yeah.
Or is it like, all right, then that's the eShop Roundup, and then me like eShop Roundup afterwards, you know?
No. I exactly. That's why it's funny to just kind of take it as it comes, but that's great.
I was holding out that time.
Here come the big guns.
eShop. Just kidding. Craigslist.
Oh, yeah.
Different hands.
I just want easy games.
No, not that.
What's that demonic trio of mushrooms doing?
And we're back.
Hey! Oh. I just realized, like, did he say he wanted me to bring it back?
No, I said I'll bring it back, and then I'll throw it over to you.
Sorry, there's like a little pause. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably supposed to bring it back. Hey. Okay, go. Go.
All right. And then you should just blend that into the real one. Playing my Switch in Cuba. My name is Mayo.
Like, whole cases in this series are decided by ghosts, playing the opening hook of Chocolate Rain over and over again. I play Cooking Mama in bed. But look who's laughing now, Carl.
To think you could have been the one to review Room in the Night Sky.
For 50 silver points, you can have a picture of a gold nunchuck on your Wii U.
Cheers is to Frasier is that Ghosts and Goblins is the Gargoyles quest.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. Not till he's been
You
up to
wouldn't
code.
trust Mario?
No, sir. Like, you get on out of here. Give me Luigi. I bet you Luigi's the better plumber anyway. I bet you Mario's the guy that goes into the house, schmoozes up the housewife or the husband, whoever's home, you know, sweet talks him while Luigi's out there slaving away, fixing those pipes, and then he gets, you know, a quarter of the price. It's baloney.
Well,
it's baloney, I tell you.
Luigi sounds like a Jim Brony.
I tell you what, I'd invite Luigi over to my house to kick back a beer and fix some pipes. I tell you what.
You'd make him drink on the job?
Yes, sir. He's licensed. It's okay. He's insured. If he messes up, it's all right.
Yeah. Like I'm... Anyway. Okay. So, yeah. I think we're getting a little loopy here on the little news block we got going here.
I'm not a huge Metroid fan. Like, I enjoy it, but I'm not like a true diehard of the franchise. So...
Get off my podcast.
Well, when he ruins your pipes, and then he's not insured, and he's like, sorry.
It's a poop screen, but... Hey, I got a joke for you. Are you ready?
I'm all ears.
All right. Okay. This horse walks into a bar, okay? And the bartender says, "Get out of here, you horse."
Was that Sarah Jessica Parker?
Sarah Jessica Parker?
I'm Sarah Jessica Parker, excuse me.
What does that mean?
You don't know who Sarah Jessica Parker is?
Well, I mean, I do, but why are you saying that?
People think she looks like a horse.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. That is mean-spirited. He just randomly saying
I googled image. I just said Sarah Jessica Parker, and I Google image, check in the chat, and one of the first images.
It's just a side by side of her and a horse.
Oh, that is too funny. All right.
You know, my whole life, I've always thought she is not attractive at all, and I don't know why she's famous. Not to hate on her or anything, but I guess always thought that.
I mean, you could be fugly looking and still be a good actress, you know, but...
Yeah, I'm not saying she's not a good actress.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of people thought... Yeah, I don't know. I guess she was Sex in the City, right? I believe was the show she got popular on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, what was your joke?
You're
Sorry,
like, she was Sex in the City, right? That's the name, right? And then like you have like all the like
I got the Blu-rays
on behind you,
and my Jessica Parker like horse posters.
Sarah Jessica.
Did you see the next? There was another one, dude.
Yeah, I saw that. That's hilarious. Like you didn't even type horse.
No,
did you?
I just typed in Sarah Jessica Parker.
That's mean. Okay.
What was your joke? Sorry.
I already said it.
What was it?
A horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Get out of here, you horse!"
And then he left?
No, that's the end of the joke.
Get out of here, Sarah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm assuming we're going to cut all that out. Do they give you a hunk of gold with it? eShop. Roundup. Yeah, I just wanted to double check. I was like, cool. He's going to be so angry if all of a sudden he realizes he recorded with the wrong one, you know?
You would have heard the sound of a laptop being thrown at a desktop computer.
That's it! I'm going fishing!
I'm going fishing! Yeah.
'Cause we're ski bopping our way down to the YouTube saloon. 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 Saloon.
Hello?
But
Oh, hold on.
I heard he just got divorced.
Hold on. I can't hear you.
You
Hello?
can't hear me?
I couldn't hear anything you said for the last 10 seconds.
Could you hear just not Perry or both of us?
Neither of you. It just froze.
Okay. We were just
I just said I think Justin Nation just got divorced.
all right, we'll fill in there.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad. Maybe Skype was actually censoring you, Perry, so that I didn't have to hear that.
Well, hopefully
Yeah.
he's not actually getting divorced. She must be a saint, though.
No.
To put up
It was a
with
joke
all that game
because-
playing.
Yeah, that was my joke. But aren't you guys excited for Metroid Prime 4?
Nope. Schmixty sure.
Misery, history.
Does he have a Sharugan? I need a 128-inch screen just so I can see.
I'm gonna tell Aunt D about this.
All of this could be yours for $100.
Buh!
They could come over and, like, kill my family, and I'll be like, can I get that Mario and Rabbids game real quick, though? Nope. Yep. I lied. You're right. Jim is wrong.
WorldReport.com. Hey guys, this is Perry. If you've made it this far, wow. I salute you. Thank you for putting up with all this mumbo jumbo. Also, Coke for life. Pepsi sucks.